The truly deviant nature of dolphins.
The following video contains topics that may be considered disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
Ooh, spooky season.
It's been a long time coming. It's been 3 years since my last dolphin video, which means 3 Halloweens have gone by with this aquatic thug wiener going unchecked. Not this time. This satanic smiling sausage, Davy Jones' delinquent offspring, this audacious ocean hippo, we'll get to that.
Ocean hippo? I've heard about those hippos. I heard they're truly evil. I've heard they are not as nice as y'all think.
The dolphin is a breathing, breaching hate boner, and their psychopathic tendencies come from their intelligence. Dolphins are arguably the smartest things alive without thumbs or launch codes, which allows them to manipulate the world around them, including the animals in it. Dolphins will reportedly harass pufferfish into releasing poison, which apparently they get obliterated off of.
Wait, they get high off of pufferfish poison? Let me say that again to make sure I'm not tripping. They get high off of pufferfish poison. What the actual Yo, I mean, when you out there in the ocean, ain't much you can really do, so I'm not really that mad at it. It just seems crazy to say.
It isn't scientifically proven that dolphins get elevated and hella faded off a spicy stress ball.
Hey, this ain't the time to be rapping and rhyming and shit. I'm trying to learn about these ocean demons, these sea demons, all right? You over here spitting bars in the middle of your video. Stop that. We need to take things serious right now. I'm trying to learn.
It isn't scientifically proven that dolphins get elevated and hella faded off a spicy stress ball. The alternative is the jocks of the sea playing handball with a living puffer, and that's probably the most child-friendly form of dolphin recreation. I'm gonna have to get real creative with the way I describe this, but dolphins will stick their little dolphin dorks wherever they desire.
What the flip? Did I just see a dolphin sexually assault a woman?
Dolphins will stick their little dolphin dorks wherever they desire, including the disembodied heads of decapitated fish.
How big do y'all think a dolphin is? Just out of curiosity, I truly don't know how big their penis is.
Including the disembodied heads of decapitated fish, which might have just been a one-off.
What?
Researchers didn't also witness a bottlenose wrap live wriggling eels around their stick shift. We've also witnessed 2 river dolphins treating an anaconda like a pool noodle, except the photographer took a closer look and noticed something. The snake was likely dead, like an erectile dysfunction, which only one of them would know about since both dolphins' privates were standing very much at attention. Workers at the Dolphin Research Center also got a nasty surprise when they discovered baby nurse sharks finding their way into the lagoon and the waterlogged hot dogs using them as volleyballs. Dolphins might be the only animals to use other living animals as tools, with a group of dolphins discovering that they could use live sponges as snout guards as they scrape the sea floor. It's not proven sponges can feel pain, but it makes no difference to these brine bullies. If a dolphin can use another creature as a pawn, it will. That's how one dolphin created a whole seagull murder ring just for some extra fish. Basically, Kelly the dolphin had an unspoken agreement with her trainer where she'd get rewarded with fish every time she helped clean litter from her tank, including expired seagulls. So Kelly would hide a fish during feeding and then use it to bait seagulls when no one was looking, only to snatch them, drown them, and exchange the waterboarded bird for more fish. Not only that, but Kelly—
Wait, it went out its way to kill birds? The dolphin went out his way to murder birds for fish? That's kind of smart. I'm not gonna lie. That is crazy. I am truly speechless right now because that is low-key some smart shit. Hey, you gotta get what you want by any means possible.
Not only that, but Kelly taught her daughter the same trick, ensuring the seagull side circle goes on at least another generation.
Oh my gosh.
Another time a dolphin's brain was someone else's downfall was down in the Gulf of Mexico, where biologists stumbled across hundreds of decapitated catfish bobbing around the water. Not only that, the eyes and the fins were still moving, and the fish heads made this disturbing grunting sound when brought on the boat. The cause was, catfish have several serrated spines for self-defense, and a gang of Gulf bottlenose dolphins apparently realized they could nerf the catfish by surgically beheading them. But so far, we've seen dolphins working harder, not smarter, with seagulls, sponges, and catfish all being collateral damage.
Yeah.
That doesn't explain dolphins being a jihad to other animals unprovoked. Dolphins in Belize have been attacking and even—
Bro, I can't even imagine getting molested by a dolphin. What can you really do in that situation? But like, imagine you going to SeaWorld and you pet a dolphin and it tries to fuck you. That's very traumatizing. I can't lie, bro.
Dolphins in Belize have been attacking and even life-depriving baby manatees. They've even gone as far as separating manatee calves from their mothers to make an attempt on their life. This is the same animal that finessed its way on an alligator's whitelist, getting folded by a pack of flippers. Dolphins are literally if hippos went the Professor X route, lost their legs but gained hyperintelligence, which isn't a joke since the closest living relative to whales and dolphins are hippos.
Really?
The animal that gets it the absolute worst from dolphins are the ones that look the most like them. Dolphins have a homicidal obsession with porpoises, with cases of them washing ashore with bite marks and broken bones.
Damn.
It's like they can't help themselves for real. It doesn't matter what they're doing. Put a porpoise in their presence, and it's like the Powerpuff Girls going Gotham City on a green monkey. In 2016, one lone male bottlenose flatlined at least 6 porpoises, and the injuries were roughly the same.
Why they got so much
Hemorrhages,
beef?
broken bones, and lacerated lungs. No one knows for sure why dolphins are purposely committing acts of war, but the best guess involves how dolphins behave with each other. Because if you thought they were better to their own kind, you don't understand the depravity of this malice-fueled middle finger. Dolphins regularly commit the act of infanticide, with males often harassing and separating the mother from her defenseless calf and escorting it off the census.
Oh my gosh. They're literally saying F them kids. They realize they are literally shooting their own race in the foot, or species, whatever word you want to use, but they're literally killing off their own species with that. You're supposed to be the smartest animal without fingers and launch codes, but that is some dumb shit. It's not even just dumb, that's some hating ass shit. Bro, it's no reason to do that. They just do it because they can. That's crazy, bro.
It's a classic case of deleting the baby to have a shot at the now child-free mother. Plenty of animals like horses and hippos do this.
They
But
do
no
that.
animal takes baby-
Oh my gosh, they do it. That's worse than having no reason. You could have been a step dolphin, a stepfather and dog. A step dolphin. I don't know the word, but you could have been a stepdad. They said, nah, we don't want no babies. I want to put a baby in you. What, bro? That type of motivation is crazy.
There was a case where a mother orca and her adult son worked together to drown a baby killer whale. Also, the son could sensually explore the mother that watched them do it. In 2020 in Mutsu Bay, Japan, researchers witnessed a gang of dolphins pull up on a mother and her calf and begin mauling the baby. What shocked them was suddenly the first group stopped harassing the dolphin calf, only for a second group to show up and go at him even harder. For well over an hour, 23 different dolphins got involved, and a newbie dolphin was sent to the gulag after being hit over 100 times.
Hey,
And
oh
knowing
my
what we now know
gosh.
about dolphins, that might have just been business as usual. Dolphin Society is like an episode of Oz, and like the show, it all starts with the men. When a male dolphin is young, they'll form a group with 2 or 3 others, and these will be the closest bonds these males will ever have, as these alliances can last decades. But it's not just kumbaya. The main reason for them linking up is these dolphins will kidnap lone females and keep them in custody for weeks, while they mate with her the entire time, consent sold separately.
You telling me, wow, they mate with her? They, all 3 of them are ganging one female dolphin. Casual, is that what you're saying to me? Her ass got a 3-for-1 deal. What the what? Bro, they kidnapped a woman dolphin and her for weeks. Bro, we need more people to realize what's going on in the animal kingdom. We cannot let dolphins keep getting away with this.
These dolphin gangs are highly possessive and even have a specific pop sound to tell the female to swim closer, and she can get jumped for not complying. The females usually fight back, but only escape about 25% of the time. Not only that, but these
What?
water Weinsteins mate year-round, meaning an unlucky female can get tagged by multiple gangs in one trip around the sun. 3 dolphins acting as the Musketeers of Malice are known as a
What? It can happen more than once a year? Bro, imagine you leave one group to get by another group. That's such a crazy life to live. I'm happy I'm a human. I really am. I'm truly happy I was born a man, because women in all species have a lot to worry about. I feel for them. It don't matter if you're a human or a dolphin. You're getting I knew better. I knew better. Once it came out my mouth, it was too late. I couldn't stop it. I couldn't stop it. It was already out the mouth. I'm sorry for my outburst.
Not only that, but these water Weinsteins mate year-round, meaning an unlucky female can get tagged by multiple gangs in one trip around the sun. 3 dolphins acting as the Musketeers
Wait,
of Malice
in one trip? Are you telling me? I don't even want to expand on that, bro. I didn't know he said one trip. One trip. That means one gang can pick you up, the next gang can pick you up. They can trade you back and forth, and either way you're getting, bruh.
3 dolphins acting as the Musketeers of Malice are known as a First Order Alliance. There's also a Second Order Alliance, with additional dolphins doing the dirty work for the group. Work including attacking other pods, stealing their females, while protecting their own from equally lust-crazed males. Basically, the First Order Alliance is like a basketball big 3, with the Second Order being the role players. Of course, sometimes 2 Second Order Alliances join forces to create, a Third Order Alliance.
What?
Not only does this mean dolphins have the largest non-human social network on the planet, they use it to operate like a pack of sea ditties. Penetration without permission is
Bro, I've never heard that before. If I could find a way to add in Diddy's name into the YouTube title of this video, my life will be complete. I need y'all to understand that this animal is Diddy. It's the Diddy of the ocean and sea.
They use it to operate like a pack of sea diddies. Penetration without permission is so rampant that female dolphins actually evolved the same equipment as ducks, where they're
vaginas.
yeah, those are maze-like to flush out any unwanted baby batter. But the male's response was dolphins developing a 12-inch pink prehensile bedroom arm. Speaking of which, male dolphins aren't even safe from each other.
They have a 12-inch casual. You cannot just say that normally and act like I'm not gonna say nothing. They have a foot long. You just said that dolphins have some big on them, bro. This is just getting worse and worse by the second. Imagine getting penetrated by a 12-inch that you didn't want. Damn, bro, that sucks.
Speaking of which, male dolphins aren't even safe from each other. Non-allied males assert dominance by biting, jaw clapping, tail slapping, and mounting. The brokeback kind. Remember, it's Ocean Oz out here. To be fair, that's also how they play, and young male dolphins will actually practice on each other and take turns being the female long before they try it on a...
You're gay. What? Bro, what is this video? They're Diddy. These animals are actually Diddy. I thought he was just making a joke at first, but they're really Diddy. You really just told me that dolphins practice being the female dolphin while the other male dolphin is humping him. That's what you just told me. I literally just heard that. And to assert their dominance, they fuck each other. Man, what the
So how they play, and young male dolphins will actually practice on each other and take turns being the female long before they try it on a real one. And there's nothing wrong with that. Except dolphins have a nasty habit of projecting. I'm 99% sure the porpoises and manatee maimings were because both animals look like the babies of their own kind. Which is pretty insane logic. Imagine someone on trial for running over the vertically deficient, only for their main defense to be that they thought it was a child. Porpoises and sea blimps aren't the only ones catching strays. Since 2022, more than 45 people have been attacked while swimming in Fukui, Japan, leaving many with broken bones and bites. And it's believed these attacks were carried out by one male Indo-Pacific bottlenose dolphin. And it's been said the reason for this one-man dolphin demon campaign? Horny. Scientists think this dolphin is sexually frustrated and lonely and is taking it out on the humans around him. And the scariest part? There's a good chance he's only playing. Because if a 9-foot, several hundred-pound flesh missile wants you dead, you're simply dying. People say the rogue dolphin will often swim up to people and try to press his pink sword against them.
He's playing? This is a crazy way to play. This man is playing with his dick. Imagine you on vacation, you swimming out, and a dolphin try to fuck you, and he just playing. That's bro, what am I watching, bro? What am I hearing? What am I watching? What is going on in this video? I've learned a lot of things that I didn't want to know. I didn't want to know that dolphins had a 12-inch. I didn't want to know that it be gang banging and other female dolphins. I didn't want to know that. And there's still at least 7 minutes left in this video. What else am I going to learn today?
Dolphin will often swim up to people and try to press his pink sword against them, which is actually the same way dolphins in an alliance act, so he's really just acting out natural behaviors but on people, only to lash out when they don't respond. He's not the only one. As you know, I went to the Cayman Islands earlier this year, and you'd think the most dangerous part would be me getting intimate with a stingray. It was actually me swimming in the same waters as Stinky. Stinky was a lone male dolphin infamous for trying to violate divers that meet his eye. One victim, Michael Mays, recounted how he and his wife were snorkeling and enjoying Grand Cayman when the menace named Stinky showed up. Michael tried warning his wife before Stinky charged her, slamming into her repeatedly. Someone should have warned Michael that he was what Stinky was after, as the dolphin attempted to dork Mike in front of his own wife.
Dork.
And you know dolphins don't discriminate, with both Jessica Alba and Demi Moore seeing just what happens when a dolphin decides to go on booty warrior timing. In fact, one dolphin's impulses likely ruined a man's life. Alan Cooper was an animal rights activist who also became...
Don't tell me nothing bad happened to this guy. He's an animal rights activist. Loved animals, probably pet the dolphins all the time. The dolphin fell in love, and let me guess, something bad happened to him. I'm sorry, Alan. You just picked the wrong animals to give rights to.
In fact, one dolphin's impulses likely ruined a man's life. Alan Cooper was an animal rights activist who also became close with a dolphin named Freddie. Not that close. Who he actually met in the wild, but was now living in Flamingo Land.
Okay.
Except one day, Alan swam with Freddie, and bystanders watched and swore that Alan was getting handsy with the dolphin, and he would end up getting accused of going Rocky Balboa on little Freddie. Papers called him a dolphin diddler, and it went all the way to court.
He violated a dolphin? Oh, nah, no wonder. He's like the Deep from The Boys. He be trying to animals. Hold on. No wonder he's an animal rights activist. I just don't know what to say anymore, bro. This video has really changed my viewpoints on a lot of things. I'm gonna be an animal rights leftivist because this Alan Cooper guy was beating little Freddy's in the water. No wonder he's an animal rights activist. He's trying to dolphins. I can't even defend, bro. That's the crazy thing. Like, maybe he just believes in making sure his animals are taken care of in every way. I don't think that's it at all. I'm not gonna lie. This is weird.
Whole time, all that really happened was Freddy got a little too homosexual and wrapped his prehensile trouser tongue around Alan's arm. Even with the case thrown out, Freddy's freak-off was a stain that largely derailed Cooper's career and killed almost any chance he'd ever have of being taken seriously.
All right, hold on. So wait, what happened? The dolphin wrapped his dick around Alan's arm, so he had to start punching the dolphin that was around his arm? That can't be right. The dolphin wrapped his around his arm and he had to get the off his arm.
Even with the case thrown out, Freddy's freak-off was a stain that largely derailed Cooper's career and killed almost any chance he'd ever have of being taken seriously.
I apologize for my accusations, Alan Cooper. You were a victim of Freddy's horniness, and this is why you can't get too close to animals. They be trying to fuck you. Lesson learned, bro. I'm sorry this happened to you. So my question is, are you still an animal rights activist? Because me personally, I will be eating dolphin fin soup the next week. I'm just saying, bro, you cost me my job and all I wanted to do is help you? Yeah, I'm eating your whole kind. I'm going to Japan the next week.
Yeah, there's a reason why legends say that Amazon river dolphins will shapeshift into men at night and impregnate young women before changing back in the morning. Dolphins are like the chimps of the sea, but where chimp society revolves around violence, dolphindom is centered around getting their rocks off. But dolphins can be just as dangerous as any wild animal. Pretty privilege makes you forget it's a hyper-intelligent pack-hunting super predator that could fold you 7 ways to Sunday if they wanted. And no dolphin showed that more than Chiao. Chiao was a male bottlenose dolphin that showed up in San Sebastian.
I'm starting to see a repetition here. I'm starting to see a pattern. I keep hearing you say bottlenose, so those are the ones I gotta look out for. Gotcha.
Chiao was a male bottlenose dolphin that showed up in San Sebastian in Brazil in the mid-90s, where he was popular for his friendliness around humans, especially women, to the point where he started to see other male humans as a threat, and this time he wasn't playing. By December 1994, Chiao had sent nearly 30 people to the hospital, including one case where he attacked 2 men, breaking one's ribs and killing the other. So as you can see, dolphins commit atrocities against the world around them, against humanity as a whole, and even against their own kind.
Horrible.
But do you know what actually makes them evil? It's not rhetorical, because there isn't anything I've said about this womb fish that something in nature doesn't also do. Yeah, dolphins wake up feeling like Jordan. So do lions, hippos, and zebras. That's 3/4 of the cast in Madagascar. Yeah, dolphins do the unspeakable with fish, but I've seen chimps get downright deplorable with a frog. Chimps will also murk rival children and then turn them into lunch meat. Yeah, dolphins are basically eternal erections, but penguins are so deviant they traumatize the researcher. First seals have been seen defiling penguins, and speaking of seals, researchers have documented mateless male sea otters breaking baby seals with no approval. The point isn't to pass the buck to someone else's favorite animal, it's that these animals are just trying to survive. Dolphins are just that much better at it. If other animals could, they would. Hell, we can, and we have. Early cavemen also cannibalized human children, and meal prepping brains was somewhat regular. And before you judge otters and penguins, in 2022, 4 men were arrested for the crime of assault.
Hold on, what did that say? Butcher and ate the brains of children as part of everyday diet. How would brain taste, y'all? Like, I like, you know what I'm saying? Have y'all ever been curious of like how brain tasted? You know, one person that can answer that question if they were still here, Jeffrey Dahmer. Am I a serial for saying that? Sometimes I realize that maybe I shouldn't ask the questions that I ask online, and maybe I shouldn't say the things that I say online. I truly do not be thinking before I say stuff. I just say it, and that's part of my problem in real life and online. They gonna think you eat brains and you're a serial killer and there's people under your floorboards. Just, you know, don't let them know that secret yet.
In 2022, 4 men were arrested for the crime of assaulting an endangered monitor lizard. And no amount of wordplay will let me talk about what people did to Pony the orangutan. Just know, if I can't speak on it, it must be bad. I mean, if you believe in alternate realities and that art mirrors life, then you also believe that somewhere in the universe, there's a dolphin with a snapback and a tiny mic talking about how humans are the spawn of Satan behind a green screen of this guy. Morality is really a social construct, and I think dolphins were just smart enough and just cute enough for us to move the goalposts and judge them by human standards.
Yes.
Then I think people be trying to correct all the shark slander, which is probably a crazy thing to hear from the same guy that made this. Here's my thing. Everything I said dolphins do in this video is true, at least to my knowledge. But when I'm calling them a C. Diddy or a Water Weinstein or Satan's 9-foot hate boner, we call that a sentence enhancer. Especially when I'm calling something a homicidal threat to national security. Kind of a what you say, not how you say it. Am I backpedaling? I don't think so. I mean, I love animals. I don't want you to watch my videos and go drop kick an otter, or pray chimpanzees go extinct, or hate dolphins. I don't even hate dolphins for real. There's also the whole overcorrection thing. I feel like there's two ways people see animals. There's the Disney side, a side that told people elephants think we're puppies, and a side that convinced Buddy this was a good idea. And then you got the side that would legitimately sleep better at night if Thanos would have had beef with dolphins. The thing is, both sides can get the animal put on a shirt. Bad PR almost got sharks and wolves wiped out. At the same time, Freya the walrus had to get put down because people literally wouldn't stop getting too close to her. Because the worst thing a wild animal can do is forget its fear of humans. Part
that
of
is
Xiao's
true.
story I didn't tell you was the part where people kept harassing him, even trying to pour beer and stick ice cream cones down his blowhole before.
What the fuck is wrong with people, bruh? See, y'all deserve everything that's about to happen to y'all. Just leave animals alone. It was drunk people, wasn't it? Putting ice cream cones in the fucking blowholes in, like, why? Why would you do that? And pouring beer on the animal, like, bro. I know what type of people did this. It won't my people. I'm just saying, chat. We know damn well that my type of people ain't doing this. Beer? Yeah, that's why I knew it wasn't us.
Even trying to pour beer and stick ice cream cones down his blowhole before he started fighting back. What I think is for decades people looked at dolphins with Disney glasses and sharks were the monsters, and overcompensation has it flipped where really neither animal belongs on either side. Elephants are my favorite animals and they're probably the best example of this. In 2011, a herd of elephants showed up to their caretaker's home after he died and held their own 2-day vigil and would return every year on the same day to mourn him. An elephant also traveled over 100 miles to flatline a 70-year-old woman only to desecrate her corpse at her funeral. This elephant was filmed trying to rescue a rhino stuck in a pit before lions could get to him. Elephants were also responsible for running through rhinos like a yellow light. Dolphins aren't evil prison bullies or innocent sea angels. They're just dolphins. But you know, maybe I haven't talked enough about the other side of dolphins. Like, you know, dolphins have specific names for each other that they'll respond to. They also recognize each other by urine, so they really got a whole two-factor authentication. Pregnant dolphins will teach the unborn calf its name by singing it constantly while it's still in the oven. Speaking of babies, newborn dolphins don't sleep for the entire first month of their life, which means neither do their mothers. Dolphins are highly emotional, and just like elephants, they also mourn the dead. One orca made headlines when she carried her lifeless calf on her nose for 17 days and over 1,000 miles. And with orcas, they're one of the few animals on the planet to go through menopause, and the most likely reason is so elderly orcas can stop worrying about being mothers and instead focus on being grandmothers. That matriarch system is why dolphins, especially orcas, have not just their own cultures, but they even have trends just like us. For example, in the 80s, one orca was seen carrying a dead salmon on her head for no reason but a fashion statement. And in less than 2 weeks, the orca influencer had not just her own pod, but 2 others doing it. Things like that are how orca OGs pass knowledge down. They even have their own way of disciplining children. Sometimes when dolphin calves wander too far, the mother will toss the calf in the air as punishment. Repeatedly.
You supposed to make me feel like they're good people or they're good animals. You over here talking about how they throwing their kids in the air for punishment. That doesn't help them at all, bro. I look at them as evil beings now. Dolphins are the most evil animals on the planet.
The calf in the air as punishment. Repeatedly. For up to 40 minutes straight. But considering wandering off can get the baby canceled by a pack of males, I see where she's coming from. But males aren't even that bad. Dolphins will often have their version of a midwife, a dolphin auntie that assists with birth and helps with the calf. And sometimes this dolphin auntie is actually a male. And of course, you got stories of dolphins saving people from drowning.
A trans
sharks.
dolphin?
One dolphin went way off script. In 2008, a mother pygmy sperm whale and her son got stranded, and rescuers spent more than an hour trying to return them to sea, and even considered putting both of them out of their misery. That was until popular bottlenose dolphin Moko appeared and led the trapped whales through a narrow channel back to sea, saving them both. A year later, Moko nearly drowned a woman he was playing with because he got too excited to let her return to shore, and she almost got reverse baptized. See that? Duality. So yeah, I don't hate dolphins, I don't hate any animal. I'm not fully bending the knee, I'm gonna still get my jokes off when I can. But moral of the story, manatees are the most wholesome creatures alive, and last year one named Hugh, past tense, after a bigger male confused him for a mate and literally ripped him a new one. The worst part,
oh my gosh.
It was his brother. If
What?
they can do that,
How'd he
dolphins
get
can't do that,
confused?
man. But yeah, that's gonna do it for this video. Make sure you drink water, hug your mother. Don't hug a dolphin unless you're prepared to end up like Hank.
Hey, wait. What happened to Hank Hill? He got touched by a dolphin? Damn, bro. The best aura moments in nature. Yeah, geese. Wait, I shouldn't even be on the side of geese, bro. Yeah, I ain't gonna lie. That's aura. That's so much aura, bro. Y'all know monkeys got aura. Imagine me as a monkey, but standing up like this. Is this not aura? Is this not aura?
Aura. You've heard the word, even if it was after the brain rot brigade ruined it for everyone. The definition of aura is not important. It's the feeling. It's commanding an entire room without speaking. It's when your name is spoken. It demands respect. Man, look, we don't even need this intro. You know what aura is.
I know what it is.
Captain America wielding the hammer of Thor. Aura.
Okay.
Steph Curry having an entire building watching him shoot. Except for Steph Curry.
You know what I'm saying? My glorious king, Stephen Curry. Or should I say Wardell Stephen Curry II? Yes, he has aura. That's my glorious king. I don't know who the hell this guy back there is, but Stephen Curry, that's my king.
Steph Curry having an entire building watching him shoot. Except for Steph Curry, aura. Experts advising tourists against even saying this bear's name for their safety, aura. Animals can have it too, and when you talk about aura, this bear might just be the mascot.
Talk to me.
This is bear number 122, but he's mainly known as the boss. He's a 700-pound
boss?
walking boulder of a bear and the most dominant grizzly in Banff National Park in Alberta. He's your biggest predator's biggest predator, as the boss has been recorded catching, murking, and eating other bears.
What the heck?
In fact, one of the first times he ever was seen was while feeding on a recently expired black bear.
Oh
Or at
my
least what was
gosh.
left of him, and officials had to close down the Sundance Canyon Trail until he was done. He's like the carnivore conductor. Everyone has to follow his timing. He's always the last bear to hibernate, but the first one up. He has a home range of about 1,000 square miles, and like Genghis Grizzly, Boss is believed to have fathered 70% of all the bears in Banff.
70%? What is he doing to get that number so high? He has to be forcing it. There's no other way of saying that. He's a father of 70% of bears in whatever country or region he just said. How do y'all think he got that number so high? He was diddling the other bears. That's the only way. That's the only way.
Is believed to have fathered 70% of all the bears in Banff. Brother Bear was going to work, but unfortunately, with every job, eventually you retire, and one day, Boss tragically hit a train and was put down.
Damn.
The train, that is. Yeah, this walking plot armor survived being struck by a train twice. Mind you, trains are the #1 killer of all wildlife in Banff, and Boss regularly uses the tracks as a buffet line to feed on spilled grain, as well as the carcasses of other animals that weren't strong enough to survive what he walked off twice. The definition of aura is a bear covered in oil from hours spent eating off the same tracks that should have killed him. But this God of War grizzly doesn't just not fear death, he straight up disrespects it. According to Parks Canada mapping, Boss regularly crosses high-speed, heavy traffic highways like Trans-Canada, and yeah, in case you were curious, that's another leading cause of bears getting disqualified from life. And that's not the only way he disregards death. Believe it or not, if there was something less than nothing, bears would want that to do with us. The best way to avoid a bear is to make enough noise to give the bear a chance to avoid you, and mother bears will actually den closer to people, knowing that'll keep baby aborting males away. Which means, ironically, some bears choose the man. Boss chooses himself. Bear 122 is a common visitor of compost around Banff, and he even forced the town to put up a 9,500-volt electric fence just to keep him from raiding the landfills. There was also that time you had Boss breaking into backyards just to eat from fruit trees. So of course the only option was to cut down the trees. The thing is,
damn, bro, imagine a bear making you cut down trees because you're so scared of it. I'm not gonna lie, that's aura. That's some real aura. You have to accommodate your life to Boss, because Boss does whatever the fuck he wants. He's the boss.
So of course the only option was to cut down the trees. The thing is, Boss was never known to be aggressive to people. To be fair, that's also true for most bears that are alive. But my theory is, he knows damn well we can't do a thing about him. Boss is a whole anime protagonist with predatory hardware, so you shouldn't be surprised that he has his own villain. One day, wildlife photographer John E. Marriott seemingly saw Boss at his worst. He could barely move, he had chunks taken out of his face, and for the first time, he had gotten got. And the most likely culprit, yeah, that would be this guy, Split Lip. Split Lip, or Bear 136, was another mountain of a bear in Banff, and Boss's #1 op. They even have the same ursicidal tendencies. In 2015, his tracking collar stopped working, and researchers looking for it were met with Split Lip's discarded collar and a mostly eaten grizzly corpse that wasn't Split Lip. They've been running fades for years, and with both being at least over 20, this beef's likely been marinating over a decade.
Damn!
And with Boss estimated at 28, he proves one thing: beware the old man in a profession where men die young. In fact, even his name is dangerous. just not in the way you think. You see, when you name an animal, you're basically personalizing them. It's one thing to do it to a dog. It's a different game for a 700-pound wild Rottweiler. It turns animals into celebrities. And if you think someone's not logic deficient enough to risk it all for a boss selfie,
if you take a selfie with a bear, you're asking for your life to be ended. Game over. I would never in my life would try to take a picture with any animal that's not in a zoo. Even in a zoo, I would be skeptical about taking a picture with a fucking bear. Bears don't even go in zoos. I don't even know why I said that. But god damn it, who the fuck is taking pictures with bears? If you are one of these dumbass people out here in the world, don't come near me. I don't need this stupidity to spread.
Risk it all for a boss selfie? Yeah, Bison is more than a good buy. It's enough for experts to caution against saying his name out of fear that he might literally gain too much clout for his own good. Think about it. This bear's aura is too strong to have a name. But there's more than one kind of aura, even in the animal world. You ever get that new kid in class that everyone just rocks with? Like the popular kids, the teachers. He can make nice with half the school by lunch. That's that charismatic aura. And this is the picture of it. The story goes, a couple lost their dog while hiking in Kamchatka. Remind me to tell you why that's important later. And they fired up a drone to try and find him. Oh, they did. They found him traveling with 3 bears. There's a lot to unpack here. Number 1, bears don't live in packs, thank the natural order for that, but that means this husky had the stones to pull up on a mother bear with cubs and didn't get sent to dog backwards. Not to mention, there are wolves in Kamchatka, meaning bears already have a predilection to canine prejudice. But speaking of Kamchatka, not only does it flex the highest density of brown bears on Earth, the constant fresh supply of salmon means they're one of the few animals alive that could maul a grizzly. So I'm not exaggerating, this dog chose the biggest land predators on the planet and adopted them. Yeah, he adopted them. You can tell they're just barely tolerating him. Whole time the husky's having the time of his life. Does this look familiar? I'll give you a hint.
I'm making waffles.
And I just know it was the mom telling the cubs ignore.
What? Is that from Shrek? That was a Shrek reference? I might be a little slow, chat, but I'm almost entirely sure that was a Shrek reference. If I'm wrong and I post this to the internet and it's not Shrek, I'm deleting the video. Like, y'all gonna see it and it's gonna be gone.
And I just know it was the mom telling the cubs ignore him and it'll go away that got him here. That's the real reason she doesn't suplex his world. Because then she'd be admitting she was wrong. There's no report the couple got their dog back, but I don't think that's not their dog no more. Especially since if I had a nickel for every time a drone caught a dog breaking bear boundaries, I'd have at least 2 more nickels than I woke up with. Oh, and it's more than just dogs. In 2018, a Polish farmer lost one of his cows, and for 2 months straight, she was unaccounted for. That is until she was caught posted up with a herd of wild, untamed bison. I could make the joke here, but I don't want to get
Don't do it. This looks insane. It looks like an episode of Black. I have to say it. Somebody had to say it, bro.
Could make the joke here, but I don't want to give guidelines a chance, so hopefully the comments do it for me. In 2016, another drone captured a pod of beluga whales that had adopted a single lone narwhal. Just for reference, narwhals are painfully shy, people-fearing, eternally introverted anxiety whales that could genuinely get past tense by a panic attack. But as of 2022, he's been running with the same beluga squad every year. This is Aura. Also, fun fact, Narluga hybrids are an actual thing, so maybe this is the same vibe. Probably helps that despite resembling a sun-starved dolphin, belugas have the intimidation of a cinnamon roll. Next animal looks like a cinnamon roll, but could absolutely fold you.
The 2-week-old unrefrigerated pie.
I don't know what words to use right now to describe what I'm seeing. She has wolves, dogs, and more dogs. Where the fuck does she live? Where did she find these animals and why are they domesticated now?
You know, when I saw this video, my first thought, that golden retriever's there strictly for vibes. Come to realize that's not a golden retriever, it's a furry Grim Reaper.
What?
It's a Great Pyrenees, a canine insurance policy built to run fades with wolves and bears. It's old man country strength in a canine's body. If you meet someone's Pyrenees for the first time and they're all over you, yeah, that's not affection. It's basically a vibe check and fail at your own expense, because the moment you do something they don't like to them, or God forbid someone they care about, this is Casper. He's not a ghost, but damn it if he doesn't make him. He's a 21-month-old, 85-pound cotton-tip goofball, at least according to owner John Werville. He lets chickens sleep on his head, he treats the sheep like family, and he's pretty outgoing for a guard dog. Until it's time to go out and be a guard dog. On November 3rd, 2022, 11 coyotes raided the farm in Georgia and 3 managed to break into a pen. If that wasn't motivation enough, Casper also had a mate, Daisy, who was pregnant with 8 puppies. Casper knew what time it was.
Pregnant with 8 puppies at once? I forgot these are dogs. That's normal for them. 8 puppies is insane, bro. Imagine your wife in the future, if you're a little kid, imagine your spouse being pregnant with 8 kids. Twins is crazy enough, but 8 kids? God damn.
Enough, Casper also had a mate, Daisy, who was pregnant with 8 puppies. Casper knew what time it was. Casper cleared the 4-foot hog wire fence and not so gently perp walked the first 3 off the census in seconds.
Damn.
Casper then jumped the fence again and this time went after the entire pack, and even with 5 other Pyrenees on the farm, Casper went at it alone. No backup. This was personal.
A real
Casper
one.
would disappear for 2 days until reappearing with cuts, torn skin, and a severely injured tail that ended up getting amputated. I showed the other guys, but corpses aren't allowed on YouTube. The next day, people found the bodies of the decommissioned coyotes littered around railroad tracks, the carnage totaling 8 dead coyotes.
That's a
You
real
remember
one.
How many unborn pups they pressed? I don't believe 8 was an accident. Casper would spend 2 weeks at the emergency vet and another 6 at the animal clinic to treat his wounds of war. But thanks to Samaritans donating $15,000 to his medical bills, Casper
15
would
what?
make a full recovery. And in 2024, he was voted the People's Choice Pup and won Farm Dog of the Year. Today, Casper's retired, and after single-handedly saving his entire bloodline, as he should. Next animal also retired, but only after
That's so
saving
cute.
his entire species. Except this is the one time the aura came from stolen valor. Aura fraud is a crime, and his prehistoric plus-size pebble committed it. Giant tortoises actually used to be seasoned all over, but that changed the moment folks discovered how good turtle meat tastes.
What? Wait. What?
It was actually ridiculous. You know, they didn't get a scientific name for hundreds of years, all because the sailors traveling with them kept eating them before they made it back to London. It got to the point where the population of giant tortoises on Hispaniola Island was 3 males and 12 females away from getting discontinued permanently. They started a breeding program, but off the bat, only 2 males were able to contribute. That was until they realized that a tortoise living in the San Diego Zoo had actually been born on Hispaniola, and DNA tests confirmed that Diego was exactly what they were looking for, and so recruited him. Diego peeped the census and immediately came to his senses. He locked in. They
What?
said, "Go Diego, go." Boy, did he ever.
He was
3
fucking.
male Hood Island tortoises were brought into the breeding program, and Sir Diego proceeded to score a career high in spreading thighs. Do turtles even have? Yes.
What? Diego got the fucking. Diego got the fucking. Okay, Diego, do your thing.
With more rounds than Nick's cannon, the amorous anvil with legs spawned 900 children and fathered 40% of all the tortoises born in the program.
What?
Forever immortalizing him as a turtle who laid so much pipe he carried the species. And I do mean carry. There were 3 males, but one of them literally couldn't bump shells if their species depended on it.
Oh my
Either that or
gosh.
He was one of those watching turtles.
Yeah,
Now, I'm not a
oh.
mathemacologist, but 3 males with
Nico
one pulling
turtle.
40% and the other contributing vibes means Diego wasn't the MVP. That turtle was E5, and logic says his loins were responsible for 60% of the output. But apparently Diego being a bigger, louder personality means he siphoned E5's clout, although to be fair, being named after a fucking bingo space didn't help. E5 was quiet, reserved, and rarely witnessed in the act. Meanwhile, Diego was the type to crash keratin and let the whole island hear about it. This was a turtle too, man.
He was clapping cheeks and had everybody hearing it. Diego was going crazy and everybody watched. He was a performer turtle. Bro, Turtle 6 has to be very interesting, bro. I'm not gonna lie. For my own research, I might have to watch a video on Turtle 6. I'm just very interested. How the hell do turtles have sex?
Turtle 2 man that went on a legendary run to save their species, which now numbers 2,300 on Hispaniola. Both tortoises have retired and have since been returned to their native island almost 80 years after they were first recruited. Moral of the story, there's a lot in a name. Call a bear a boss and he'll act like one. Name a shell jockey after the spawn of Elon, you're setting both up for failure. But failure is not even a concept to the next animal, because when you talk about aura, this guy might have won himself a life supply.
What?
This is Jacob the Ion. Ion cuz he just refuses to take the L. And earlier this year, he and his brother broke a record in the most unexpected way possible. But to really appreciate how insane this is, you need to know just how they got here. Jacob belongs to a super rare population of tree climbing lions in Queen Elizabeth National Park.
Okay.
What was really rare was his plot armor. In 2019, 5-year-old Jacob stepped on a wheel trap, a brutal torture device meant to bring down buffalo and hippos.
Ooh.
That'd be curtains for most lions, but Jacob managed to escape, although not without sacrificing a leg. And although it was kept alive by pridemates bringing him food and rangers eventually treating his wound with antibiotics, the chances a 3-legged lion can last more than a year are low, and they were about to get a lot worse. In March 2020, 6 of Jacob's family members were poisoned by poachers and body parts sold on the black market.
What the
Being
fuck?
a tripod predator is already life on impossible mode. Doing that without a pride behind you is a for sure death sentence. Death seemed even more certain because 6 weeks after that, Jacob was gored by a buffalo, gifting him a gruesome puncture hole in his chest. Somehow Somehow Jacob survived everything, but the jihad of life didn't end there. Even with brother Tibu by his side, there's one big risk with being a lion without a pride, and one night, it happened. Jacob and
Hyenas.
Tibu lost a fight with a rival group of males, and as lion culture states, all losers must be banished from the territory. Problem was, the only way out involved crossing the Kazinga Channel, a channel believed to hold the world's largest population of hippos and crocodiles, both a massive threat to an Afro Kitty's way of life. Jacob had already beat the odds like a Cherokee drum, but this time had to be too much. They did it. Jacob and Tibu swam nearly a mile across croc and hippo seasoned waters at night. It was the longest distance a lion has ever been recorded swimming, and in Kazinga, most don't make it past 100 meters. The brothers lasted a length of 14 football fields, and the craziest part,
14 football fields with one leg missing? I can't lie, that's alright. Because if I lose an arm or a leg, I'm not swimming nowhere. If I lose an arm, I'm not swimming nowhere. Is that even possible to swim with one arm? I'm gonna look crazy as hell. Like, bro, I'm not doing that.
Brothers lasted a length of 14 football fields, and the craziest part, it didn't take one try. It took 3 attempts, and one of them ended with a mysterious creature stalking them and forcing the pair back to shore. Do you know the nerve it takes to swim through a steroid lizard luncheon and a hippo pool party in the dark for 45 minutes straight while having no way of knowing if something's following you? What even motivates 2 lions to risk their entire lives swimming through a literal, yeah, that'd do it? You see, lions often mark their territory with roaring, and after losing that crucial fight, the pair heard the sounds of lionesses and the promise of promiscuity on the other side of hell. So yeah, lioness, nah, them boys did it for the lion yash. Let's pray this lion gets laid, cause that DNA going to waste would be the real tragedy. Second time this video, animals went on a 2-man to save the lineage, but the next animals are the ratio of destruction hell-bent on destroying everyone else's. But if you know anything about honey badgers, you know this Oreo otter puts the aura in horrifying. The same dust weasel that sleeps off snake venom and goes 3v1 on hyenas and still solos. And there wasn't a honey menace with more aura than Stoffel. Let me tell you something about Stoffel. Stoffel is disrespect in the form of a black Air Force bowl cut weasel. He's the mascot of habitual line stepping, and like IBS, you can't stop him, you can only pray to contain him. He was actually found by caretaker Brian Jones, credits to the weasel distribution system, but Stoffel is like a 4-legged tornado in his home, nuking the place and daring him to do something about it. Eventually,
damn, bro. Do not let a honey badger piss on your floor. That is so disrespectful, bro. You gotta kick the fuck out that shit, bro. If I come home to a honey badger pissing on my floor, I'm gonna have to cut his dick off or something. Don't ever do that shit. I don't give a fuck. It's the last honey badger on earth. Call PETA. I'm cutting it off.
And if you think being around other animals calmed this Tasmanian devil, you don't know Stoffel. There wasn't a single animal this furry thumbtack wouldn't beef with, from messing with a rhino 100 times his size, to running a fade with a serval next door, to even folding an adult tawny eagle. No foul. He'd also harass kitchen staff and help himself to the fridge. Who was gonna stop him? And it turned out Stoffel wasn't fit to be released to the wild, so this felon ferret was here to stay. At one point, he dug through an electric fence and started bullying the lions, specifically chasing the male around and trying to bite his lion bits.
You gotta just teach that shit a lesson, bro. See, I hate little small things that feel like it has a lot of bite. Yeah. You might got heart, but do you really got heart for real? I can't be a wild animal, bro. If I was a lion, I'm not letting a little ass honey badger harass me. I'm biting it.
The lion actually grabbed Stoffel, but fun fact, honey badgers are built like a comeback, and loose skin around the neck meant he could turn around and bite the lion right back. He must have been feeling himself, because Stoffel ended up going back to the lions a second time and nearly got mauled to death, spending over 2 months in the animal hospital. And the first thing this monochrome crash out did, fresh out, was try to get it back in blood. And at this point, Brian knew he had to lock up his war weasel for his own good. And that's when things really got disrespectful. In his new enclosure, Stoffel climbed a tree by a wall and got out. Should have seen that coming, but then they removed all the trees by the wall. The convict spent all night bending and twisting a branch until it broke, carried it to a wall, leaned it against, and escaped again, so now all the trees were out. Low diff for the Stoff. This time he dug up all the rocks in the enclosure, stacked them high enough, and emancipated himself again.
I'm not gonna lie, this honey badger smart as fuck. I gotta give credit when credit is due. This little demon is smart. By any means possible, chat. This is the lesson of the video. You can do anything you put your mind to. They took the trees out, he found a branch. They took the branches out, he found rocks.
There went the rocks, but like a fool, they left him with mud. A few mud piles later, and Harry Houdini humbled them again. One time someone made the mistake of leaving a rake in there. Guess what he did? At one point, they thought they were bringing in a love interest named Hammy, but all they really did was literally gift him a partner in crime. Like Shadow Clone Jutsu, now there was two of them. There was one night Stoffel broke into his caretaker's home via rocks through the window and even tried the door. No one got hurt, but sometimes it's about sending a message.
He can open doors?
And show Nick. He made it clear that every second he was behind a wall was a choice, cause there's a twist. It was all a game. The Weasel Menace had been hand-raised by humans his entire life and had imprinted on them. He wasn't going anywhere. Fun fact, honey badgers are like the mama's boys of mustelids, with pups staying with their mothers for up to 2 years. As far as Stoffel was concerned, Brian was mama. So yeah, Casper was fueled by family, and Jacob's motivation was cocooning some tatas. This dusty sand weasel was memeing the entire time, and I checked, he's still alive. He's currently 27 and has lost most of his teeth, but he still has Hammy to chew his meals for him. Stoffel even has a son named Stompy, guaranteeing that the family business is alive at least another generation. But yeah, that's gonna do it for this video. Make sure you drink water, hug your mother. If you ever wanted to meet Stoffel, you should probably get on that.
These fish belong in a horror movie. Let's see how. What the heck? What was that? That's a fish? That's a fish? That's a fish? What the heck am I watching? That's a fish? And you tell me these are fish. These are fish. These demons.
You know, the greatest trick Hollywood ever pulled was convincing the world that sharks are the only things to fear in the water. There be monsters.
Those are demons.
In the last video, we talked about how sharks might just be the most misunderstood creatures in nature, with a PR team that works about as hard as a whiteout's brain after 6 rounds of CTE. They've been done so dirty, they've actually overshadowed the other ichthyological insanity spawned from Satan's septic tank. These are 7 fish that should honestly terrify you more than any shark. This isn't really to substitute one fear for another, but I do.
And y'all are telling me that sharks are the scariest thing ever. But you got this big mouth fish over here doing some crazy stuff, huh? Okay. Yeah, I believe it.
But I do think these fish could make a much more traumatizing, nightmare-inducing horror flick than Jaws. And it starts right here.
Bro, get that off my screen.
To a pair of arapaimas, also known as a pirarucu. You've definitely seen them before. Does this video ring a bell?
No.
It definitely rang his. It's one of the biggest freshwater middle fingers nature forgot to vault, usually growing to over 6 feet long and 200-something pounds. It's bad enough those are NBA point guard measurements, but the beefiest ones can get to 10 feet in length and weigh over 400 pounds.
That thing can swallow me. That fish can swallow me whole. I'm only 5'7", chat. I'm only 5'7". That thing can open his mouth and gobble me the fuck up, bruh. See, now I see why, like, I would never go into the ocean. There's a reason why black people can't swim. Because black people don't put themselves in situations where they could get eaten up like this.
Usually eats other fish to go with fruits and seeds, but also birds and...
I didn't even see the fish. Chat, I don't even see the fish. I'm never touching water again.
Usually eats other fish to go with fruits and seeds, but also birds and allegedly even monkeys sitting on branches too close to water.
Monkeys?
If you don't believe that, it's because you haven't seen them hunt. They're explosively quick, and the aquatic black hole has been known to confuse feet for fish and violently pull people underwater. One zookeeper reportedly made the mistake of trying to retrieve a glove that had fallen into an arapaima pool, and in a split second got his hand, wrist, and several fingers broken. There's also the fact that a refrigerator-sized fish will yeet themselves out of water in self-defense. And let's talk about that defense. The plus-size bite shad is covered in heavily armored scales, not only tough enough to tank piranha attacks, locals historically use them as nail files. They've also used their tongues as scrapers, since these fish have teeth growing out of a bony tongue that can be used to effectively crush struggling prey against.
That is the ugliest fish I've seen in a long time, and thank God I've never seen this in real life, because I would have started praying to Jesus right then and there. Get this disgusting thing off my screen, please. Y'all been asking for me to check this video out. I'm about to throw up.
You know nature got in its bag when it made a fish that can breathe air, and the Antichrist of the Amazon has a modified swim bladder that was repurposed as lungs, meaning this flex of a fish can survive 24 hours out of water. On one
I'm done, bro. I don't want to watch no more videos like this. I'm done. It can breathe out of water. That's the one thing I can do that fish are supposed to do. They're not supposed to do that. Sharks can't come out here and start walking. I can't breathe underwater. I don't feel safe no more. I do not feel safe no more. You said 24 hours? Yo, evolution is a crazy thing. Next thing I know, that fish can walk and take me with him. I'm scared for my life, chat. Yes, I am. Once again, I'm only 5'7", bro. If this thing grew legs, I'm cooked.
On one hand, that means they have to come up for air every 20 minutes or suffer the eternal shame of being a fish that finds a way to drown. But it also works out for them because in low oxygen water where most fish become slow and sluggish, the air merchant menace can pretty much go on a killing streak. Now the question is, could an arapaima pack up a person? While there's no indication they see us as a snack, there are old stories of high-strung assault guppies effectively drowning people, likely by knocking them unconscious and leaving them incapacitated underwater. Not him, he's fine. You can unclench guidelines, he's good. But one man that almost wasn't was Jeremy Wade. He probably needs no introduction, but long story short, he's a zoologist who hosted the show River Monsters, which ended, but only because he caught every fish nature had to offer.
Really?
But he almost caught an early life retirement after a pissed off paima struck him square in the chest and nearly caused irreversible damage to his heart. Not only did this fish nearly have us singing, the suspect wasn't more than 90 pounds. Remember, the overachievers compress the scales at 400 or, 180 kilograms worth of kill a man. So yeah, the arapaima is a shack-sized, air-breathing, armor-plated predatory vacuum, and strangely enough, it's not the fish I'm most scared of in the Amazon. But we'll get to that.
That's only the first fish, y'all. We've only seen 3 minutes of this video, and he said that that's not the scariest fish up here. What else am I about to see? How am I going to have more nightmares tonight? That's the real question.
The piranha actually isn't. If you remember from an earlier video, piranhas might be just as misunderstood as sharks. They're mostly just scavenging opportunists that our childhoods convinced us were way more of an issue. You cannot say the same for their cousins found in the Congo basin of Central Africa. The Goliath tigerfish can grow to nearly 5 feet long, over 100 pounds, and they're what people were told piranhas are times 10. They're in the same order, but where piranhas are primarily a swimming cleanup crew, tigerfish actively hunt for their bodies. And you'll find out, nature built this prehistoric problem to do exactly that. They have sharp dagger-like teeth that many swear are comparable to that of a great white. Although I personally see them as more conical, like a crocodile, which is a coincidence since the saltwater variety are their only natural predators. But of course, the swimming expletive has also been known to murk smaller crocs. They have eerily strong eyesight to track prey, special organs to detect the vibrations they make underwater, and they're strong enough to brute force their way through the turbulent waters of their hunting grounds. They're considered one of the toughest freshwater fish time left behind, and tigerfish are even on record snatching birds.
Did that fish just try to murk a human? He wanted a little snack. See, that's why I don't play games like this, bro. I don't play games like this. What possessed that fish to even do that? And if he had good aim, the fish could have ripped his face off. Like, imagine going to the hospital or going to like a date and be like, what happened to your face? I got bit by a piranha's cousin. It just don't sound good. It sounds like a lie.
Not just birds, but swallows, some of the fastest and most maneuverable out there. Scientists studying them watched as 300 birds got permanently grounded by tigerfish in just over 2 weeks. They're so feared that in many places they're only known by one name, Benga, meaning the dangerous fish. There's even a story of a young girl wearing a belt made out of bottle caps in order to ward off evil spirits. Ironically, it did the exact opposite and attracted a tigerfish who apparently confused the bottle caps for fish scales and nearly bisected the girl. Allegedly. It's an extremely fast, explosive vice grip with almost zero prey prejudice. And I'd still
wait. Pause. Wait, you telling me a little girl was wearing bottle caps to ward off demons? Where do people get this type of stuff from, bro? Bottle caps to ward off demons? What in the superstitious? What? That don't even make sense to me, bro. Somebody explain the lore. I know one of y'all nerds in the comments know. Why the hell was she wearing bottle caps out of anything that you could put on your body? You put on bottle caps, some rattles. She sound like a rattlesnake out here and think nothing was gonna come for her. Damn, RIP to that girl. I ain't mean to come at you. It just, it just sounds dumb as f.
And I'd still rather take a bite from them than the fish up next. And that's because next is the Candiru. And a lot of y'all already know what road we're going down. The Candiru is a tiny parasite in the Amazon, also nicknamed the vampire fish for their habit of invading the gills of larger fish and scraping the insides to feed off their blood. And with backward-facing spines and a powerful bite, it's nearly impossible to shake it off before it completes its liquid transaction. The horror comes from the legend of Candiru being attracted to the chemicals in urine and swimming up the urethra of unlucky humans.
Oh my gosh. It's gonna get inside my little pee-pee and it's gonna make it swell. Oh, chat, I can feel it. I can feel it, bruh. Imagine a little tapeworm going up your urethra, your pee hole, and next thing you know, your dick is a balloon, all big and bloated and oh my gosh, I don't want to hear no more.
Nibiru being attracted to the chemicals in urine and swimming up the urethra of unlucky humans and getting stuck up there. A fate that takes surgery to reverse. Imagine a serrated, sentient toothpick in your bathing suit business and you'll see why the violation with gills is so feared. But how much of this is even real? Most of the reports of people getting penetrated by peenfish are really sus at best.
Whoa. That's a lot to take in. You said penetrated by peenfish? Casual, you know what you're doing. These words, I need you to change them a little bit.
Apparently, they're not even attracted to the ammonia in human urine in the first place. There's a good chance that the Kanduru controversy came from European settlers coming home from long expeditions and telling these long, exaggerated stories to anyone who'd listen for status and attention. Yeah, but basically they were probably lying for clout. You have to remember, the whole piranha skinning a cow thing spawned from locals staging an event to impress the president. The truth is, your chances of peeing in the Amazon and getting frontal probed by a fish are about as much as you getting meal prepped by a shark or getting struck by lightning. Oh my bad, and getting struck by lightning. That being said, I'd rather get tag teamed by the pets of Poseidon and the forces of Zeus than have a bloodluster up my urethra, no Franklin. If the odds ain't zero, they're just too high for me. But I'll happily take a Kanduru to the Manduru, then run into aquatic op number 4.
Hold on. Is that real? Is this real? What's happening here, bro? You gotta explain that because it seems like there's a chance my PP might get penetrated by one of these small fish. And like you said, if it ain't zero, that's too high for me. So you telling me I can go out there to a lake, take a piss, and next thing I know, my PP a balloon? That's all I care about, bro. I can't take no chances with that.
Bloodluster up my urethra, no Franklin. If the odds ain't zero, they're just too high.
He said urethra, no Franklin, and I just heard that.
Being said, I'd rather get getting meal prepped by a shark or getting struck by lightning. Oh my bad, and getting struck by lightning. That being said, I'd rather get tag teamed by the pets of Poseidon and the forces of Zeus than have a bloodluster up my urethra, no Franklin. If the odds ain't zero, they're just too high for me.
Urethra
but I'll
Franklin.
happily take a Kanduru to the Manduru, then run into aquatic op number 4. In fact, I'm so afraid of it, I actually had to break my own rule for this video. The Humboldt squid obviously isn't a fish, but it's the closest thing to a living nightmare on this list. Let's be clear, at 5 feet, about 100 pounds, there are bigger squid. What sets Humboldts apart is they can hunt in packs of over 1,000.
Dang!
Yeah, that's 3 zeros like a Tony Snell stat line. Nicknamed Diablo Rojo, there are old fisherman tales of men falling overboard, getting swarmed, and never coming back up. There's also stories of them curiously approaching divers before flipping and trying to rip their masks off. But who needs stories when marine biologist Alex Kirstich can tell you about the time several homicidal squids grabbed him and attempted to drag him down into the dark maw of the abyss. It gets worse when you realize what exactly happens when a red devil decides to take you to hell. Humboldts aren't just highly intelligent, they're covered in tiny red chromatophores that they can use to rapidly change color in order to communicate with each other.
Really?
It's like Morse code but for Crip and calamari. We don't know exactly what it means, but there's a good chance if a Humboldt confronts you and starts violently flashing red, it could be telling a bunch of others you can't see that you're free eats. So likely the last thing you'll see is pulsing red before you get eaten alive. It doesn't help that satanic cephalopods are known for speed eating and are notorious for stripping fish to the bones faster than fishermen can reel them. Add a beak that can easily slice flesh and a bite force that can reportedly crack bone, and I think you see why I'm not exaggerating when I say I'll deal with every other fish on this list than a pack of predatory color coordinating squid.
They're that strong and they fight in groups. That is a demon group, bro. That's a bloodhound pack, bro. What? Nah, I can see why he said that this fish is the one that he wouldn't mess with. Because if you see one, you most likely gonna see 1,000. That's a lot of fish to be battling against, and they all have the same power level. Like they all can bite through bones. That's a nightmare, bro. I don't even know why I watch these type of videos, because all it does is raise my anxiety. Like now, all I'm thinking about is if I go on a cruise and I fall overboard, next thing I know, I'm gonna get jumped by some red squids that want to take my body apart. I don't like it. I don't like it at all.
And I don't care what logic says, there's no doubt in my mind this squid would eat a human if they thought they could. Why? Humboldt squid only live about a year. That rapid growth in a short time means they'll rarely pass up an easy meal, even if it's their own kind. Humboldts are highly cannibalistic, and they will not hesitate to turn on a weak or injured member of their own hunting party. There was a study done off the coast of Chile that found that out of over 2,000 squid, more than half held the remains of their own kind in their stomachs. It sounds to me that anything they see as weaker than them is something they can feed off, and the only saving grace for us is they usually only press things smaller than they are. But you don't even have to be seen as food for affiliated squids.
So little kids, it will eat a little kid? I heard that. I know I'm listening, bro. He basically just said that it will eat a child if it could. I'm good on that, bro.
But to me, the most disturbing aspect of getting assaulted by squids is, even if you escape, if you panic and surface too fast, you can get the bends and past tense anyway. That type of psychological horror is what puts the Humboldt here, and wouldn't you know, emotional damage is another symptom of finding out about the next fish. Because now we got the stonefish. Not one of, but the most venomous fish known to man. It's armed with verrucotoxin, and symptoms of getting stung include crippling pain, shock, tissue death, and even paralysis. And speaking of pain, you can be in agony for over 12 hours, and it's enough of an eternal jihad to cause hallucinations. Anecdotally, there have been tourists who've stepped on a stonefish only to beg their doctors to chop off the whole foot.
Oh gosh.
And there's the added threat of, if you don't get out of the water quick enough, it won't even be the venom. You can get paralyzed and catch a stage fatality to drowning. Even if you survive, you can still suffer permanent nerve damage and severe muscle atrophy. But that all wouldn't even be that bad if the stonefish wasn't nature's manifestation of a move. The most venomous animals on the planet usually dress with bright colors to warn the rest of the population that they're packing. Stonefish decided to do exactly none of that and instead cosplays as a stone, only to mortally punish you for its camouflage working. Like I said, it's like having invisibility, but also serving the death penalty every time someone steps on your foot.
So basically, if I ever get in some water, wear some shoes. All right, I got you, because, you know what I'm saying? The fish doesn't bother anybody, but damn, I won't be able to see it if I'm walking in water. See, this is why everybody need to just be in their own habitats, you know what I'm saying? Humans stay on Earth, you know what I'm saying? Rocks and what are these continents? And the fishes and the sharks and the squids stay underwater. All this could be prevented with us never going in the water. I'm an advocate for never going in the water, y'all. And this is why, as black people, we would never be conquistadors, explorers. Because I know I speak for a lot of people when I say this, but I do not care to go up, down, middle, left, right. I want to stay where the fuck I'm at, and I don't want to learn about anything that don't want to learn about me. Am I right? I'm not about to keep playing with it, bro. No.
And you gotta add the fact that there are another fish that can survive 24 hours out of the water, and they have a literal switchblade growing out of their forehead. Yeah, I knew they were a problem ever since one nearly perma-napped Nigel Thornberry, a stone-cloaking toxic minefield of misery. But with stonefish antivenom being the second most administered in Australia, today if you get stung, your chances of surviving are actually pretty good. Not like the next fish, because for this one, there is no antidote.
Bro, this looks like an evil face, like a Beyblade evil face, chat. Y'all cannot tell me that this is not an evil face. I'm looking at a demon right now. I am looking at Satan's minion.
The stonefish might be the most venomous fish, but the pufferfish is arguably the most poisonous thing alive.
I've heard about
Quick
this.
Rule of thumb on the difference: if it bites you and you die, it's venomous. If you bite it and you become a wuzz, it's poisonous. And few things are more poisonous than puffer tetrodotoxin, which is 1,200 times more of a death sentence than cyanide. Tetrodotoxin interferes with signals between nerves and muscles, causing muscle paralysis and a total shutdown. And of course, the fugu blowfish is considered a delicacy, but if the chef misses a single cut even by a little, you're instantly on the clock.
So why even eat it? Why even eat it? Why even eat it? If you could die, why take that chance? I don't get it, bro. I don't understand why people do the things that they do. You could possibly die from this if I cut it the wrong way, but here you go, take some meat.
You won't know that happened until your face goes numb and your lips and tongue get this weird prickling feeling. Then, you'd suddenly get a splitting headache and dizziness to go at vomiting and diarrhea as your body desperately tries to purge the poison. But it's already too late and you'd start getting paralyzed, starting with the hands and feet, but slowly spreading out. And by this point, you likely can't even call for help. Finally, it'd get harder and harder to breathe until you notice the room slowly fade to black, leading to either a coma, seizure, or just death. The permanent kind. Tetrodotoxin essentially flips a kill switch in your body, and there is no antidote. The only treatment is hooking you up to a respirator to breathe for you and praying it passes. The poison puffball is such a problem, it makes you forget they also have teeth that can bite clean through your finger. In fact, it's more than enough to violate a scorpion. And I don't even know how to describe what they do to crabs. Turning crustacean into crustacean with a smile, no less, is criminal. There's nothing funny about getting caught in that bite, with reports of pufferfish mutilating the genitals of men, and one case in 2008 where a Cambodian child had his coin purse sliced in half by a pufferfish.
He had his balls sliced in half by a pufferfish. Let's talk about all these animals that want to attack my Johnson. And I don't know if y'all seen my second channel video when I was talking about that I need my because I need the bus. But all this is telling me right now is that I should never step in the fucking water again. I'm not going to the beach. I'm not going to the pool. Don't ask me to step in water at all. The only time I'm touching water is when I'm getting in the shower. And I'm gonna take a shower with my underwear on to protect my for real. One of these little fishes might get my shower head, and next thing I know, I'm cooked. I know y'all seen that parasitic one. That's the one I'm scared of because I can't see already. I take these off, I can't even see the damn camera anymore, bro.
And unlike the Candiru, this ain't a myth. Have your privates out by a puffer and you might just get... So that's 6 of the sinister 7, but before we get to the last one, we got honorable mentions. The fact that there's a fish that weaponized electricity enough to decommission a caiman and we just accept that is kinda crazy. And the thing is, it might not even be the voltage, but it's getting knocked out in shallow water that'll get you. Swordfish are one of the fastest things in the sea. They also have a built-in melee weapon equipped capable of inflicting life-altering harm. In 2015, a Hawaiian man was fatally struck in the chest while trying to catch one. Another man in Malaysia bled to death after a swordfish yeeted itself out of the water and also RNG'd him in the chest. Swordfish are also on record shanking sharks and even bleeding out sea turtles. The sheep's head fish.
Why?
Really only because of that mouth. Shrimpophobics be damned. The Titan triggerfish is a highly aggressive honey badger with gills capable of dishing out severe injuries with the same teeth they use for crunching coral,
that fish kinda cute though,
and even a crown of thorns starfish. The trigger might as well be named after their temper, and this 1.5 foot vibe check is a big reason why beginner divers never go back in the water. Speaking of big, the Goliath grouper. At 8 feet up to 800 pounds, the fish the size of a small car. The Goliath grouper. At 8 feet up.
That's a toilet. 8 feet. I don't even gotta say what I'm gonna say, man. Y'all know what I'm gonna say. I'm not stepping in water.
To 800 pounds, the fish the size of a small car feels more like a leftover Jurassic prop. Lucky for us, most divers describe it as a gentle giant with the temperament of a St. Bernard. Although a St. Bernard didn't allegedly swallow an entire kid in the Florida Keys.
What?
Allegedly. But since we're on the subject, the last fish on this list are catfish. And yeah, it's kind of cheating. There's over 3,000 species of catfish, even including the genital jihad, the Candiru. Catfish are like the trash compactors of the fish family, which isn't a problem until you see just how big they can really get. And once a catfish gets big enough, there aren't a lot of things alive they won't try to eat. We've seen armadillos, turtles, and even unaware seagulls get bored by a catfish.
Armadillos?
There's a species in France that figured out how to stalk and hunt bathing city pigeons. Another learned to wait by cave entrances to suck up any exhausted bats that fall in. There was even a catfish nicknamed Kuno the Killer who terrorized a German lake and somehow caught and ate someone's dog.
It ate a dog. The fish ate a dog. I don't have anything else to say, Your Honor. My case is right here. This is why I think going into water should be outlawed and everybody should listen, because if you step in the water, you can turn into that dog. That's my case, y'all. That's my case, bro. This is why I would never step into water again. Written by True God. I got y'all. I'm going to sign off on this mug because it's over for me.
Basically, they're all the shit I've talked about pelicans being, just in fish form. The question is, if a catfish has ever eaten a live human, and it isn't even if they would, but if they could. The Wells catfish can grow to 10 feet long and cap out at 300 pounds. The Mekong catfish can also get to 10 feet, and the heaviest one ever recorded was pushing 650 pounds. If there's a catfish that could stomach a human, it should be one of these, but there's a slightly smaller catfish that was believed to be a legit man-eater. In the late 90s and early 2000s, a series of fatal attacks on people in the Gully River had people convinced there was something in the water hunting humans. In these attacks, victims were suddenly pulled underwater in front of people, only for their bodies to never be recovered. In 2007, Atal Kumar was swimming with friends when he was violently dragged underwater, and while he was never seen again, friends caught a glimpse of something that they could only describe as an elongated pig. Crocs and bull sharks were considered, but the prime suspect ended up being the goonch. At about over 6 feet, 200 pounds, the goonch is usually smaller than the whales or the mekong, but it's feared that the practice of burning funeral pyres by the river led to the equal opportunists developing a taste for human flesh. And while it's a stretch to say a corpse-happy catfish could swallow an adult, it becomes a little less believable with children. There's no solid proof of a catfish catching a person, but they for sure can off one. The biggest ones can easily overpower you, if not just knock you out and drown you. Not to mention a majority are venomous, with those spines putting both experienced fishermen and oblivious bystanders in the hospital.
Catfish are venomous too? I didn't know that. I literally never knew that. Maybe certain types of catfish. There's no way all catfish are venomous. There's no way, right? Chat, please tell me there's no way, right? Right?
They also have a nasty sandpaper-like bite that can easily draw blood. But what really makes them a living horror movie is their intelligence. The ones packing up pigeons, they weren't always doing that, but they pretty much ate everything else around them and were forced to adjust. So it's anyone's guess what could happen if they gain a taste for humans. And with catfish being swimming tongues with over 175,000 taste buds across their bodies, yeah, I doubt acquiring taste takes long. But yeah, that's gonna do it for this video. Make sure you drink water, hug your mother, try not to get catfished out here. If you'd like to see me,
I'm not getting catfished, bro. Trust and believe. Trust and believe. All this video did was tell me moral reasons of why I shouldn't get in the water. Today we got animals with Black Air Force energy. What in the world? I've seen that video so many times, bruh.
Black Air Force energy. Good old Urban Dictionary defines it as a person or an object that has insane potential and is crazy enough to deal with anything without fear or hesitation, regardless of moral alignment, including its own rivals or competitors. And despite clearly taking grammar lessons from NBA Youngboy, I'd say whoever wrote that was pretty on point. It's a term I use a lot in my videos without really explaining exactly what it is.
I need all y'all to shout out CJ the Champ because he's the one that made that shit like even more viral than what it was.
It's a term I use a lot in my videos without really explaining exactly what it is. So here's a full list of the top 10 animals with the most Black Air Force energy. Some animals are an obvious pick, others might just surprise you. But they've all earned their spot, including the animal at number 10, which might have the least clout of any animal on this list, but that's only because it's found one place in the world. Because if this bird were airdropped across the globe, it'd definitely be more known for all the wrong reasons.
What is this bird?
Starting off is what happens when an animal is too smart for everyone else's quality of life. The Kea is a large parrot that can be found terrorizing the people of New Zealand. And don't let it fool you, this Black Air Force with a Grinch colorway is an op in every way. They're highly intelligent and armed with a hook-shaped beak, which is the perfect tool for Keas to inflate insurance by picking apart cars. You see, the Kea is smart enough to associate people and the cars we drive with food, which is why this anti-mechanic is famous for committing the cutest carjackings you'll ever see.
Are you serious?
Of course, they don't just stop at cars. This feather felon will go through purses, backpacks, duffel bags, and swipe anything they can fly away with. There was even a case where this airborne pirate stole the passport of a Scottish man that didn't want to be identified. Because no one wants to be remembered for getting denied from your home country because you got your passport pickpocketed by a panhandling parrot. It happened to him and it can happen to you, but guess what? If you happen to get your wallet snatched and try to see the Kea about it, be prepared to also eat a several $1,000 fine and even jail time.
Are you serious?
Keas are protected by the government because it only makes sense that something with wings would be above the law.
You telling me that a bird gonna take my shit and I'm supposed to just let it happen? Bro, that bird gonna have to see these bullets in his beak.
Keas are protected by the government because it only makes sense that something with wings would be above the law. And it's almost like every Kea knows it and acts accordingly. But it's not just humans getting griefed. Keas will regularly raid other birds' nests and make omelets with their unborn children. And they'll use that Swiss Army knife of a nose to remove parts of a living sheep to eat. And there have been reports of them victimizing dogs and even horses. But at least the Kea isn't a legitimate physical threat to people. The next animal is responsible for putting more zookeepers on workers' comp than any other animal.
Oh my God. You hear that?
The African wilderness has some of the most ways to F around and find out per square mile in the world. So it makes sense that living in the most dangerous area codes in the world has turned the zebra into an actual psychopath. This
Show me
oppressed
some.
Oreo horse has the strongest kick in the animal kingdom, strong enough for
my
Marty to have
gosh.
written Alex out of the sequel. Which is why, even though lions body them often, every once in a while a lion has to explain to his ancestors how he got flatlined by a high-strung quality donkey. But the generational anxiety of being constantly hunted means the zebra will often one-shot something for existing too close to it. There's two reasons why you won't see a person riding a zebra. One, they're too small. And two, every zebra is fundamentally a bastard to its core. No, like
my
literally.
gosh.
Because many mother zebras will actually mate with as many males as possible, because if she's showing and he suspects it's not hers, he'll violently press her until it's terminated.
Did he just tell me that the female zebras are thoughts?
Because if she's showing and he suspects it's not hers, he'll violently press her until it's terminated. And if the baby's already out, that's just an invitation for him to demote her from mother to mourning. And going back to humans, zebras are
my
infamous for allegedly putting as many zoo staff in the ER as any other animal. They may look like horses whose favorite part of a birthday is the finger painting station, but this panda pony's liable to paint the block with their insides if you
man.
breathe at them the wrong way. Treat one like a barnyard animal and negotiate your left hand. And because zebras are genetically closer to donkeys than horses, calling it the ass of Africa is a scientifically accurate title.
Kick
And
it.
as the default protein of many of the landlords of the savannah, it's a title they hold with pride, because it's the best one they can get. 10% off is also what you can expect if you treat this barcode horse as a petting zoo. But at least they have the excuse of constantly being plotted on. The next animal has less excuses but more
Oh my
disrespect.
gosh, I didn't know zebras was like that, bro.
Deer managed to cause billions of dollars in damage a year by playing freeze tag with cars, and that ironically makes them the most dangerous animal in America. But where blissful ignorance makes deer a threat, the deer of Down Under initiate conflict. 9 out of 10 car accidents in Australia involve kangaroos, and a good number of them are premeditated and not by the driver. Kangaroos assault vehicles with
Why he
enough
squaring
regularity
up?
to commit insurance
Why he
fraud.
squaring up? That shit was evil. I ain't gonna lie. I'll probably have a heart attack, bro. That'd be too scary. It's like, what if it kicked me in my chest? I'm gonna die. Like, I'm gonna die.
In fact, kangaroos will regularly beef with inanimate objects.
Can they
But it's not
box,
just
for
a
real?
bluff. These are some brolic marsupials, armed with claws, but more importantly, a sharp dagger of a toenail. Which is why it's not a kangaroo's punch you have to worry about, but that
It's that
Jurassic
kick.
pedicure disembowelment.
Oh!
It's what makes their sparring sessions so lethal. That and the fact that kangaroos start every day with the specific goal of inconveniencing as many life forms as possible. If you happen to fly a drone in kangaroo country, prepare to have your insurance
Dang.
tested. In fact, it's not a stretch to say they hate anything that flies. Can you imagine how ridiculous this could have gotten? Imagine
Where's
people
it at?
thinking
Where's
you
it at?
died paragliding when really you
What is
survived
that?
but got mobbed by a pack of Roy Rabbits on impact.
Oh my God.
Kangaroos are number
Bro, I
8
will
because
fight
there's
them
really
shit,
no
bro.
good reason for this. You see, as dangerous
On some real shit, if it's one of them small kangaroos like that, I'm kicking the fuck out of it. They gonna feel this foot in their ass. Bro, I'm kicking their ass, bro. I don't care.
Imagine people thinking you died paragliding when really you survived but got mobbed by a pack of Roy Rabbits on impact. Kangaroos are number 8 because there's really no good reason for this. You see, as dangerous
my
as Australia is, there aren't really any dominant apex land predators. While kangaroos often contend with dingoes and the occasional wedge-tailed eagle, a full-grown kangaroo doesn't have much that can threaten it, other than a bigger kangaroo. So my
Exactly.
working theory is, they got cocky. And until nature airdrops some bears or maybe some type of big cat,
beat
kangaroos
the
are still
fuck out
gonna be
that
out here
kangaroo.
thinking they can do whatever. Try to change their mind at your own risk. As on-site as these malicious macropods are, they're not even the most disrespectful animal in Australia. And believe me, we'll get to that.
Them niggas are assholes, bro. Kangaroos are assholes.
The Big Five refers to the top 5 most dangerous animals to hunt in Africa. These include the elephant, the rhinoceros, the lion, the leopard, and an animal so feared it's been nicknamed Black Death. The African Cape Buffalo is a walking attempted homicide case armed with a pair of horns to make most attempts successful.
Okay.
They have one of the highest KD ratios against humans with guns. In some places,
KD.
these tanks with road rage and 50% of the people they go after, and a lot of that is because they will actively seek revenge. There have been stories
damn.
of one buffalo murking the same hunter that took out a member of its own herd. And whether you're a lion or a hunter, these trench cows get it back in blood. And the scariest version of a Cape buffalo is one that's already been injured. Hunters have followed a mortally wounded buffalo into thick brush, only for the freight train with legs to circle back and ambush them from behind. Which is why the #1 rule when hunting Cape buffalo, assume you only have one shot because that's usually all you get. But
Really?
it's not just humans getting bodied. Bloodlusting buffalo will seek out unsupervised lion cubs and log them out of life before they can grow up to be a threat. Not like the adults aren't at risk either. Capes will stalk and circle lone lions using the threat of gang violence to give Mufasa a roommate. Which is how the same
my
apex
God.
predator that can solo multiple hyenas can get sent up a tree like a house cat. They're like the Liam Neeson of animals. Wrong them and they make it their life's mission to co-sign your obituary. That first hit was self-defense. Everything after that was a personal choice. And even though experienced lions can take them down, it's still very much a gamble. especially since they can travel in herds of hundreds.
my
That's
gosh.
also how they earned the nickname Widowmaker, because right now there's at least one woman on Tinder because her husband decided to hunt a 1-ton vibe check, while the buffalo decided that would be the day he'd finally live up to his nickname. It's a murderous mammal, but like the zebra, it's often just self-defense gone way too far. Not like the antics of the next animal.
What in the world?
If you're talking about the Black Air Force of the sky, you're probably talking about crows.
The
or really
crow,
just
bro.
corvids in general. Crows are smart enough to manipulate their environment to their advantage, but they're also devious enough to manipulate other animals for their own sadistic pleasure. I don't know what that crow said to that cat, but it certainly involves someone's mother. Ravens will weaponize their
Bruh.
relationship with wolves to call out hits on competing coyotes. Crows in Tokyo have especially become a problem where they've basically gone to war against the entire human population. But it's not just humans
Why?
getting bullied. There might not be a worse time to be an owl than in broad daylight surrounded by a murder of crows. Not
Bro,
to mention
fly
crows
away.
will often raid the nests of other birds for a disturbingly literal kids meal. And that's when they're not just straight up snatching minors in front of their parents. I think EDP just found a spirit animal. They'll regularly mob and harass other birds until they drop the food they've already caught. And crows won't hesitate to beat on much larger birds of prey, which might explain why they do the exact same thing with humans to get them to surrender whatever calories they have on
All
them.
these
But the
animals
avian
are
onslaught
assholes.
peaks out with the Australian magpie. Now, turns out they're not actually corvids. They actually sit closer to another bird with psychopath tendencies. Either way, Australian magpies manage to be the most feared thing in a country seasoned with crocs, cassowaries, and snakes. And
Wow.
while most wildlife is harmless as long as you respect their space, the earth is their space, and they have no patience for trespassers. To the point where many Australians have taken to wearing helmets to protect themselves from the magpie's malicious intent, especially during swooping season, where magpies will relentlessly attack anything that gets near their nest.
Swooping
Actual
season?
human lives have been lost to this goth Tweety's tantrums.
I ain't
And
gonna
since
lie. I'm everywhere I go. I'm having that Glocky on me, bro. You're not about to keep bullying me on the bike, bro. I'm gonna get off that bike and I'm be like, "What's up, nigga? What's up?" And you know he gonna he gonna be smacking me in my head. I'm gonna be like, "Bop, bop, bop." I ain't gonna never hit that bird. I swear to God. So it's all about the fight, bro. I can't go out like no bitch.
relentlessly attack anything that gets near their nest. Actual human lives have been lost to this goth Tweety's tantrums. And since corvids can remember faces, once you've been swooped, you can
Yeah, see,
expect the
that's me.
same treatment next year. I think Tirzu said it best. Corvids are what would happen if you gave monkeys wings. But at least in the magpie's case, they're only a legitimate threat to a human way of life for the roughly 6 weeks of swooping season. Next animal is one of the biggest dangers
6
to
weeks.
humans all year round.
6 weeks, y'all. 6 weeks. I
It
ain't
was
taking
really
that
only a matter of time before the river rhino made an appearance. Widely considered the world's deadliest mammal, you may have noticed that hippos weren't included in the Big Five, and I have to assume that's because nobody that has a desire to see the next day would actually hunt them. Arguably, no animal has a harder working PR team than a hippopotamus. First of all, it's not the goofy lard donkey it lets you think it is. A thin subcutaneous fat layer means hippos are actually walking units. And despite their awkward appearance, hippos can outpace any
That shit
human over
fast as
short
hell.
distances, and that includes on land and in water, where they somehow become even more
Hold on.
territorial.
I didn't know they
Hippos
was
have been known
fast.
to lower the census totals of other animals for seemingly no reason. Just when an antelope thinks it's been bailed out, the slaughter horse does origami with its spine. And even though they're supposed to be herbivores, every once in a while they'll give into the temptation of tasting the flesh of their victims. Cannibalism
gosh.
is not off the table. Science doesn't really know why exactly they do this, but science doesn't account for an animal just being a dick. Few predators will press this obese water pig, and those that do so at their own risk. Hippos are
My-
so carnage happy that the biggest threat to a baby hippo is a bigger, meaner bull hippo. It's how a hippo baby shower can legitimately end in a rain of flesh confetti. Now, to be fair, plenty of animals resort to
His descriptions are insane. Flesh, confetti.
a baby shower can legitimately end in a rain of flesh confetti. Now, to be fair, plenty of animals resort to infanticide. Hippos are just really mean about it. Like I said, nobody's PR team works harder. Except maybe dolphins. Which makes sense since despite resembling ungulates like warthogs and rhinos, the hippo's closest living relatives are actually cetaceans like dolphins and whales. But
Really?
instead of making it out in the ocean, hippos decided to make a living griefing everything in its area code. And I didn't even mention the way they claim that area code.
Oh my gosh. What would you do if you seen a hippo in real life? What the hell was that?
You know, if you unsubscribed right now, I wouldn't blame you. The only thing that can make this whale Karen more of a menace than it already is if it were a straight up predator.
What are you
Or
doing?
packs.
Run
Then again, that
away,
would
drive.
literally make it an animal further down this list.
I would've drove, bro. If I see anything that big, I'ma be that big home.
My personal bias was not going to keep the elephant off this list. As much as I love them, elephants can be a devastating combination of smart enough to do anything and big enough to get away with it. Asian elephants especially get themselves into trouble by raiding villages and emptying out their rice supply, which is why Asian elephants are responsible for the bulk of human hashtags,
I want to see
especially since they can be just as vengeful as the Cape buffalo. Earlier this year, a man in Thailand had an elephant working hauling wood in the brutal heat, which is illegal. And apparently the elephant knew his rights because he proceeded to rip his boss in half. And of course, we gotta address the I'm better than that. One elephant traveled over 100 miles to murk a 70-year-old woman collecting water, only to
Oh my God.
One elephant traveled over 100 miles to murk a 70-year-old woman collecting water, only to pull up to her funeral to attack the sole evicted body, this time in front of her family.
Are you
the biggest
serious?
mystery of mankind
Why?
is what motivated a 4-ton pachyderm to pack up an elderly woman twice. If he
And
had a
then
reason,
go to her funeral.
it's not like he's gonna tell us. Elephants rank over hippos because where hippos commit war crimes in the heat of passion, when an elephant catches a body, you can almost be certain it was premeditated. And it's in populations that have been fragmented by poaching where young male elephants really fly off the handle. And bull elephants are already pretty high-strung as it is, but they managed to get worse in communities decimated by poaching, to the point where 3 elephants in South Africa were responsible for deleting 63 rhinos as well as charging at people. Now, to be fair, poaching typically targets older bulls, and research shows that without old heads around, younger male elephants go into must a lot sooner than they should, which I get. What I don't get is why that has to involve turning a rhino from a tight end to a wideout. What you have to remember is that elephants are intelligent enough to experience every human emotion like compassion, empathy, and hurt. But for every headline like this, you might get a headline like this.
If you got smacked by that big ass trunk, you dead, bro. You dead.
Passion, empathy, and hurt. But for every headline like this, you might get a headline like this. And if elephants wore shoes, they'd rock the biggest black Air Forces the world's ever seen.
I bet
That's
they
only because
would.
the next animal on this list doesn't have legs.
Have legs. No legs at all?
One of the biggest injustices of cinema is that
Oh,
where
these
dolphins got
mother-
cast as a lovable flipper, sharks got typecast as Jaws. Dolphins are the most disrespectful beings in the ocean. Makes sense because they're basically intelligent hydrodynamic hippos. They regularly bully sharks, use fish heads and live eels as marital aids, commit unprovoked acts of porpoiside, all while letting humanity think they're the good guys. They have mating practices so brutal that I probably can't even talk about them. Just know that what dolphins like to do to each other, guidelines might try to do to me. But we can't talk about dolphins without talking about the biggest dolphin of all. The orca is the most dominant apex predator on the planet that isn't human. And as if sheer size and intelligence
my
wasn't
gosh.
enough, they typically hunt in pods with the coordination of a wolf pack, which is how this oppressive sea oriole regularly griefs the tankiest animals on the planet. They're such a force that great whites have been known to abandon hunting grounds for up to a year once this steroid quality guppy makes an appearance. Probably because they've been
Wow.
known to use the shark's biology against them to rob them of their heart and liver, just to leave the rest of the shark to sink to the abyss. And then there's the fact that orcas often practice their craft on other animals, which is why if you ever feel bad about penguins getting bullied by seals, I suggest you see what happens when a Navy SEAL joins the Air Force. And while you could chalk this up to hunting strategy, there's also the chance that living life on Roku difficulty means orcas get bored and just start trying stuff. And while it's true a wild
Oh
orca is
my
never
gosh.
taking out a human, that hasn't stopped them from actively
Awkward just don't give a fuck either. Like, no, like, okay.
start trying stuff. And while it's true a wild orca is never taking out a human, that hasn't stopped them from actively messing with human vessels with disturbing regularity. It's like they know who's ruining the ocean and adjust their behavior accordingly. Either way, orcas are the humans of the sea, and anything that steps to them gets reminded expeditiously. Even moose of all things.
I'm
Moral
not
of the
messing with
story,
one of those.
Free Willy should have been put on parole. The only thing more black Air Force than an animal that griefs everything around it would be an animal that commits atrocities against its own kind. And that's why orcas are only number 3.
It's 2 more that's worse.
Ask any zookeeper what animal they fear the most. If they don't say chimps, they've never worked with one.
Oh,
A
yeah,
common
demons.
misconception is that chimps are 5 times stronger than the average man. And while the number is actually closer to 1.5, chimps have more fast twitch muscles, a stronger bite force, and a stronger grip force. Their ability to use tools is fascinating to watch, until you realize that means they're able to create and use weapons. People often forget that chimpanzees are pack hunting predators able to execute attacks with the precision of early man, and that doesn't just apply to their prey. Chimps in Luongo National Park have been documenting attacking families of gorillas and murking any helpless offspring they can get their hands on. Literally no animal safe from the violent tendencies of a furious George. But it's the damage they inflict against their own kind that puts them over the top. Chimp casualties often share the same injuries: a disfigured face,
my
missing
gosh.
fingers if not entire hands, and a non-consensual neutering. Chimps seem to have an understanding of what's important to an animal, and they go out of their
Non-consensual neutering? You telling me that these motherfucking monkeys are over here ripping people nuts off?
Chimps seem to have an understanding of what's important to an animal, and they go out of their way to remove it. It's why I can show you this picture and you'll understand. And it's why instead of organ donor, I have, if ever maimed by a chimp, just let me die on my driver's license. And it's also why you probably have a better chance of surviving being locked in a room with a lion than in a room with a furry chimp.
How did he get in there?
The fact that a chimp can get put 6 feet under by members of its own troop guarantees them a spot on this list. The only way an animal could beat that is if something was enough of a menace to be a legitimate threat to itself. And that's exactly what number 1 is.
What is number
Before
1?
we reveal number 1, here's some honorable mentions. The Canadian goose, for having the most irrational confidence of any animal. They actually almost went extinct, and now they revolve their entire existence around punishing humanity for it. Swans, because what geese think they are, swans always have been. Wolverines, because they're more than capable of hunting for themselves, but they'd rather tax animals 3 times their size for a living. Meerkats, for being quite literally the most homicidal mammals on the planet. And now at number 1, to absolutely no one's surprise,
What is it?
the honey badger, the most
Really?
unapologetically disrespectful creature on Earth. I have an
I like
entire
those.
video dedicated to the exploits of this steroid skunk, but here are some highlights. They'll regularly pinch food from leopards and then throw a tantrum if they get caught. They'll take on packs of animals that realistically should be able to one-shot them. But the Oreo weasel has plot armor in the form of crackhead courage. They'll raid the hives of African bees, the same bees that are 10 times meaner and sting 10 times more than their European
they just don't
cousins.
care.
And
They
honey
just don't
badgers
care.
aren't immune to bee stings. They're resistant, but enough stings will flatline a honey badger. But ask the honey badger if he cares. He won't answer, but you know the answer. These prison ferrets also run fades with highly venomous cobras. If they manage to get bitten, they'll just slip into a cobra-induced coma and then wake up hours later and walk it off like a Sunday morning hangover. Even the honey badger's idea of self-defense is as offensive as you can get. As in, they'll reverse their anal pouches inside out and release a smell so pungent it can allegedly paralyze attacking bees. And honestly, any animal that religiously attacks the baby makers of others is a different tier of menace.
Oh my
No other
gosh.
badger represented this better than Stoffel, who once escaped from his enclosure and picked a fight with a neighboring family of lions who nearly mauled him to death. After about 2 months in the hospital, the first thing the affiliated ferret did fresh out was go right back at the same lines to settle the score.
Are you
and that was
serious?
only one of the hundreds of times Stoffel managed to raise the blood pressure.
That just seemed like short man syndrome. You know what I'm saying? Like honey badgers got that short man syndrome. They got something to prove because they so little. Hey, do your thing, King.
Go right back at the same lines to settle the score. And that was only one of the hundreds of times Stoffel managed to raise the blood pressure of the people around him. But here's the real kicker. Stoffel was actually hand-raised by humans at a young age and therefore imprinted on them. He had no intention of ever leaving. The whole thing was just a game to him. Because if blatant disrespect were a sport, they still wouldn't play it because anything involving rules goes against a honey badger's belief system.
They just
but
don't
that's gonna
care.
do it for this video. For more consistent content, be
What
sure to
in
follow
the
my Insta.
heck? Why this bird could be a threat to international security? What the f? That's how we starting off.
Not even Dr. Seuss on Adderall and a deadline could cook up a bigger threat to national security than this bird. Owls are like real life cryptids. Avian
That
aliens
shit
that overslept
ugly.
and missed their return flight home. If cameras weren't real and you'd never seen one, you would not believe this bird existed.
These gotta
on the
be,
same
like,
planet. And that's all the intro we need
photo-generated.
because we can start right here with an owl giving
This
you
gotta be AI or something, bro. These birds ugly as hell. Look at this shit.
the same planet. And that's all the intro we need because we can start right here with an owl giving you a backstage VIP pass to its eyes. Owls have ears, and no, they're not here, but on the sides of its face with feathers covering it like a comb over covering a bald spot. Call it alopecia. I can't tell you how many licks to get to a tootsie.
I ain't gonna lie to y'all, chat. I have problems. I have like a whole problem, bro. If I see holes, I just want to put my finger in it, bro. I'm really bad at stuff like that, man. Don't put a red button in me. I'm smacking the fuck out of it as soon as I see it.
I can't tell you how many licks to get to a Tootsie Pop's G-spot, but it takes 2 fingers to get to a Hoot Ninja's control center. And speaking of seeing, that's
What did
another
you just
thing.
say?
Owls don't have eyeballs, more like eye tubes that can't move and are locked in their sockets, which is how a bird already associated with death can be on straight exorcist timing, able to turn their heads 270 degrees without divorcing their skulls the Antoinette way, thanks to special blood vessels in the neck. And the only reason they even have to do all
What?
that is because as creatures of the night, they have giant eyes to catch enough light to see. Think of the chronically perked out primate, the tarsier.
Ew.
But owls also have small skulls, so
That's
having
dumb.
eyes built like rods is the only way they can fit. Owl eyes are huge. For reference, if human eyes were proportionally the same, we'd be walking around with glimpse globes the size of grapefruits. I really can't stress how much of a cheat code those are. Some, like the Oriental Bay, can see with their eyes closed. Those eyes
That right there is probably the most scariest thing I've seen all year. Imagine I'm walking out at night, I'm taking out my trash, and I see this on my car just staring at me. I'm running the house so fucking fast, bro. I'm not gonna beat it up, bro. I'm gonna go out there. Like, I'm gonna do something, bro. I don't know.
can see with their eyes closed. Those eyes might be the biggest self-report that owls aren't from this earth. Quite possibly literally. You can tell a lot about a person from their eyes, and
True.
the same goes for owls, but with their color. I did say creature of the night, but not all of them are nocturnal.
Damn,
Owls with
evil.
yellow eyes are more likely to be diurnal and
look
active
at this.
during the day. Orange means they're probably crepuscular, and if eyes are windows to the soul, black eyes tell you no one's been home for a minute, but also that they're nocturnal and darkness really is their domain. But then, you have this. If you ventured on the cryptid side
My nigga, don't just put that on the screen for 2 seconds and act like we ain't see it, bro. Nah, bro. Rewind, bro. What's going on? What the fuck is that? That is a demon. I will put my whole bank account that is a demon.
If you ventured on the cryptid side of the internet, you definitely know about Mothman, a humanoid demon spawn with 2 eyes apparently redder than any red you've ever seen.
What?
Well, if you thought I was being cute about the cryptid stuff, this is the Stygian owl of South America, named after the river of Styx that the souls of the dead would have to travel to get to the underworld of Hades, according to Greek mythos. Their eyes are naturally yellow, but the special tissue for night vision behind its retina causes it to reflect red under artificial light. And between that and the pseudo horns, you can kind of see how the mix-up might have happened. There's also the infamous Flatwoods monster.
What is
with
that?
Free real estate in West Virginia folklore.
I'm in East Virginia, bro. West Virginia folklore. All good jokes have some truth in it. Somebody's seen that shit in real life. And what if we want to travel down to Virginia? Oh nah, bro. Oh nah, bro. I'm about to have nightmares tonight, bro. We over here talking about birds. You over here showing me demonic creatures and shit.
There's also the infamous Flatwoods monster with free real estate in West Virginia folklore, which might have just been a barn owl from a really unfortunate angle, which is also understandable. But those that know about barn owls, and if you don't, you will in this video, barn owls are a different kind of freaky. But the most cursed owl might be the one that's not alive anymore. Barnamegalonyx was a giant ancient Cuban predator of a bird believed to have stood at up to 3 feet 7 inches tall. It was such a unit that the first scientists to see its bones thought it was a type of terror bird before it was later classified as an owl. But terror bird doesn't have to be a name to be a lifestyle, because they were believed to be ambush predators that would have airdropped you to the afterlife with bone-crushing talons. It's also believed they would have murked prey as big as modern-day black bears. As big as they are, they probably spent most of their time on the ground.
If that can kill a black bear, that means it can kill me. I'm on the chopping block, bro. I'm not much bigger than the bird. I'm not gonna lie, bro. That shit gonna see me and chop my little ass up.
As big as they are, they probably spent most of their time on the ground and only took flight when fight was off the table, basically acting like turkeys. Sounds like no big deal until you remember how on-timing turkeys can be. But like Fidel, the op of Cuba has long been past tensed, but today, there's over 250 flavors of hoot men populating the earth. Obviously way too many for me to describe.
Scariest bird.
So I'm gonna just run through my favorites. This is the largest owl in the world, the Blakiston's fish owl, and they earned the distinction off a mostly pescatarian diet, clearly cut from the same cloth as its decommissioned Cuban cousin. And then you have the owl just bigger than a Coke can with less gravity than a golf ball, the elf owl. That doesn't stop this undersized muppet from being a menace of scorpions, among other things. This is a great horned, also called a tiger owl, but not because of their colorway, but because they're like nature said and gave an apex predator wings. I'm gonna get to them later, but just know, this aggro Tweety is to other owls.
That shit look evil. Oh my God, chat. All these birds look evil, bro. All these owls look like they deserve to be in hell. Look at the way it's looking at us, bro. You cannot tell me that it's not looking straight at us.
I'm gonna get to them later, but just know, this aggro Tweety is to other owls what orcas are to the cetacean race. There's my personal favorite, the snowy owl, a battle-tested survivalist able to live in one of the most unlivable places on Earth. But they're also proof that white Air Force energy can be just as much of a headache. There's a saw-whet and a spectacled owl, which are cute enough to make me rethink the entire narrative of this video. There's a Eurasian eagle owl, whose run puts that same narrative on life support, and who I'm only thinking of now because of the one named Flacco I saw at the Central Park Zoo before he escaped and became a regular Manhattan resident. That is, until he hit a building and was diagnosed with death. R.I.P. Flacco. And here we have the powerful owl, and yes, that's its honest to Abe name. It's another one with a Jurassic pedicure, which means it can take down some of the biggest prey of any owl. It's an owl that copied a hawk's homework and changed some of the answers, and with a name like that, you can probably guess where it's based. In fact, I don't even think I really need to Australia. With owls seasoning every place on Earth that isn't Antarctica, owls obviously have different looks, but also different sounds. Whoever told you they only hoot lied more than an underage owl. And while hanging with owls is usually a hootenanny, if you're neighbors with caterwauling barred owls, you'll wake up to the set of Planet of the Apes. They're not all bad. The Western screech owl sounds like a fumbled ping pong ball. And you can't tell me the Eastern screech doesn't give Kentucky Derby. But you won't find an outburst that's more to blame for mental anguish than the banshee-coated barn owl.
Why is it screaming? Okay, yo. Chat, imagine walking out at night and you heard that sound in the woods. Let's say you live beside some like tree something. You walking home from the store and you hear that sound. Are you not gonna think a demon is about to like chase you down or something? Nigga, that sounds like a scary movie, bro. That shit don't sound real. It don't sound from this world, bro. Owls are from the devil's lettuce. What is that? Marijuana? I'm happy I've never seen an owl in person because I don't know what I would do. I'll probably faint or have a panic attack. Bro, it look
I'm
evil.
trying to tell you, there's something about barn owls. Sound might arguably be the most unsettling thing about them. And
What
I'm
the
not
hell
talking about
is
the
that?
sound
Are
they
those
make.
owls?
You definitely know that owls have better hearing than a mom after you close the door a decibel above what's acceptable. But you might not know just how far nature went to give them the advantage. Those two ears we talked about aren't symmetrical. The left ear is usually lower than the right, which means an owl on the prowl can pinpoint exactly where a noise came from based on what ear detects it first.
Wow.
If it hits the left first, then the owl can be sure it came from below. Owls also have faces built like satellite dishes, or I guess technically the dishes look like owls. Either way, it collects sound and funnels it towards the ears. The wildest variant of this build is the great gray owl that honestly looks like it got its business punched in by nature. They have the biggest facial disc of any owl, meaning you can hide under 2 feet of snow and ice and still get got by a gray. They'll even blindly nosedive into the snow, just like the Arctic fox, because same test, same solution. That's convergent evolution. Owls also figured out how to rearrange their feathers to change the shape of their disc, meaning they can basically shapeshift. Depending on the situation, owls can make themselves look bigger when threatened, or the change
That's like the peacock thing, bro. Chat, what you doing if you see this walking through your backyard?
Depending on the situation, owls can make themselves look bigger when threatened, or the changeling will do the opposite, either for camouflage or for the what the f factor. You see what I mean when I say no other animal has contributed more to cryptid culture? Imagine being the first person to see this IRL. But I'm not done. There's one
Passing
more
out, throwing up.
supernatural ability owls have that might just be the most OP of all, and it's also because of their feathers. An experiment by BBC Earth took 3 birds and had them fly from one researcher to another with several highly sensitive microphones to pick up even the slightest noise. First was the pigeon. No real surprise to anyone who's lived near them. Next was the fastest bird alive, the peregrine falcon. Again, pretty standard stuff. But then came the barn owl, and this is why I called them hoot ninjas earlier.
Oh, you can't hear them? You can't hear
Alright,
them?
let's talk about it. Pigeons are social birds that also get put in a bucket by multiple birds of prey. So
Damn.
their takeoff sound is like an alarm call to the rest of the flock. So if one pigeon goes, you know the rest will follow. The crested pigeon even evolved their own form of a ringtone. Then there's a pigeon paralysis demon, the falcon. And since they put all their evolution points into speed, they don't have to worry about the sound they make, just one-shotting their prey into the next world. But with owls, they have modified flight feathers that makes it a living lethal weapon with a silencer. There is
they're
one
demonic.
important catch though. Hush Tweety sold its soul for a built-in muffler, and it cost a waterproof oil coating on their feathers. That's how the steely-eyed gatekeeper of the night turns into an alcoholic muppet when you add water. This might be the most damning evidence.
What the fuck is that, bro? That shit ugly as a bitch, bro. It still look evil as but it's ugly. Like, I don't know. I wouldn't be that afraid of seeing this. I'll just be like, what is that? And kick it or something.
This might be the most damning evidence for the alien allegation. 70% of the earth is water. If this is what 70% of the world does to you,
Bro,
I assume you're not from it. And once owls get too wet, they can't fly. And clearly they didn't read the terms of service because they do not look happy about it. I'd say it's a fair trade though, because a flight-happy dinosaur on silent mode with night vision and god-tier hearing equipped might be one of the most conceptually terrifying things to be hunted by. They say getting gripped by an owl feels a lot like getting caught in the jaws of a German shepherd. Getting disqualified from life by an owl usually means getting crushed to death.
They look so
If the
evil.
prey is too big, they'll just dismember it. Since owls like to eat their prey head first, that usually means decapitation.
Look at it. They just look so evil, bro. Chat, y'all cannot tell me these things don't look evil, bro. Yo, YouTube comment section, let me know. Do these things look evil or am I tripping?
Usually means decapitation. So if you ever see an animal that's physically lost its mind, you can be sure an owl somewhere ate good. Owls will also surplus kill. A picture was taken of a snowy owl pantry with about 70 dead lemmings arranged like a wreath. And there's even a story of scientists finding an owl nest with 70 plus cat collars, although I personally don't believe that one. But the avian assassin is for sure one of the most underrated predators in nature. Yeah, we're not about to skip past an owl snatching a hawk in its own crib. You see, there's birds of prey and the ones birds prey about, and owls are definitely the latter. Owls will regularly grief other birds of prey like this beheaded red-tailed hawk or this young Cooper hawk. As you've seen, they'll use the cover of darkness to commit hit and flies on families like this
these
peregrine falcons. And it's not always
cannibals.
about a meal. Sometimes it's about sending a message. Owls don't usually build their own nest, and this homicidal air mime has been seen attacking bald eagles in an attempt to hijack theirs. But owls also don't believe in squatters' rights, so God help the kestrel that try to use their own strategy.
They're
against
jumping?
them. Owls are honestly what would happen if you gave honey badgers Red Bull. They're definitely one of those around and find out animals, but there is one bird owls have generational beef with. Owls and crows have one of the most infamous rivalries in nature, and it's because owls will kill without prejudice, and often that includes crows. But crows are also highly intelligent and arguably the smartest birds on Earth, but more importantly, they have the capacity to hold grudges and seek revenge. So crows will mob any owls caught in broad daylight when they have the
jump
advantage,
that white
harassing the bird of prey
motherfucker.
using the
Yeah,
OP
this is what you call reparations.
It's how the same predator that can check falcons, hawks, and even eagles can get railroaded by a murder of crows. The beef is so ingrained that crows that have never even seen an owl will instinctively choose violence, and owls will take out any single lone crows they can. And I know I've been saying crows, but ravens aren't exactly fans
kill them
either,
evil things.
especially when an owl can change its Facebook status to nevermore. There's another bird of prey this flying deratio has major problems with. Each other. Owls regularly hunt and kill other owls, and the two main suspects,
Cannibal, bro.
the great horned owl from before and the barred owl. Barred owls are pretty competent predators on their own, and often they get victimized by the flying tiger. It's technically not cannibalism the same way a leopard eating a cheetah or a red fox flatlining its Arctic cousin isn't. It still feels wrong as hell.
Bro, it's cannibalism to me. Like, I don't care what you put it as. Bird eat bird, cannibal. Like, that's simple. If you eat your kind, you're done. But I guess like owls and other owls aren't. What? If I ate another human, I'll be a cannibal, right? If I ate a monkey, I guess a monkey is not. Don't send them to races. Do not send them to races. So if birds eat other birds, it's not cannibalism. But we eat other humans, that's cannibalism. So if I eat a monkey, I'm good. I can put a monkey nut in my mouth.
Barn owls are pretty competent predators on their own, and often they get victimized by the flying tiger. It's technically not cannibalism the same way a leopard eating a cheetah or a red fox flatlining its Arctic cousin isn't. It still feels wrong as hell. The barred owl can be a different kind of problem, which is why the US government has been trying to pass a bill to murk 400,000 of them. And if that sounds OD, it's because the flying invasive garbage disposal eats literally everything, to the point where they've been outcompeting the native spotted owl into near oblivion. The crazy thing is, life retiring 400,000 would barely put a dent in their population. Owls will also run fades with deer, and they're not afraid to press other land predators in their territory like coyotes. Snowy owls are a special kind of trigger happy, since they have to compensate for having their nests on the ground. The result is the biggest crash out of the owls, choosing fight and flight with a whole wolf. There have even been reports of them dive bombing polar bears that wander too close. But for all their talents, there aren't really any documented cases of an owl putting a person in the coffin. That is, unless you believe the staircase owl theory. In 2003, Michael Peterson was convicted of murdering his wife Kathleen in their home in North Carolina, and according to the autopsy report, the cause of death was blunt force trauma to the head. But there's been legitimate theories that it was actually a barred owl that attacked her and caused her to fall down the stairs. The theory gained more traction when it was revealed that feathers were later found in her hair, and that the lacerations on her head were pretty consistent with getting mauled by an owl. Now, full disclosure, I'm not really that informed on the case, but even I thought that was a stretch. But crazier things have happened. Let me remind you that the entire world thought Lindy Chamberlain was guilty. Whole time a dingo really did eat her baby. We might never know for sure. There's a reality where a man served hard time for a crime an owl committed. Now, you might come away from this video thinking I feel some type of negative about owls. Quite the opposite. I've gained a whole new respect for these birds. For one, they're free pest control. Just one barn owl family can eat 1,000 rodents in a season. Speaking of what about me? Owl, they're monogamous, and not only will they often mate for life, they'll often return to the same nest year after year. You can't have that kind of longevity without. Are you not about to make me feel good about these animals and these demons, bro? So you trying to trick me? But oh my god, they do all this good stuff. No, fucking 11 minutes of this video, you've been talking about all the dangerous things these owls can do. Now, like the last 2 minutes, you want to talk about the good things. Oh my god, they have families, they get rid of rodents. Bro, they're still evil. Burn it with fire. Hey, what's that build that they want to keep 400,000? I'll sign off on it. I'll sign it myself. How about that? And the owl equivalent of a vow renewal is what you're seeing right here, called billing. That and a good intimate preening session. And while they're still wild animals that really aren't meant to be pets, the ones rescued by humans can often end up imprinting on them. The result makes depression hear boss music. And even though they're often associated with dark and death, in Japan they're often seen as a sign of good fortune. Moral of the story, owls aren't harbingers of doom. They're not the feathery antichrist. Nah, owls are just the cats of birds. And I honestly love that for them.
Today we're gonna be checking out the terrifying creatures of the sea. Let's see what they looking like, man. I am not prepared for this, bruh.
You've probably heard me say that I'd rather eat 10 pounds of Popeye's biscuits with no drink than ever go out into the ocean. Damn. Well, I'd rather ride cross country on a bike with a hot grill for a seat than spend half a second in the deep sea. There's a lot of living nightmares and paralysis demons come to life if you sink deep enough. And the Megalodon is not one of them. You'll often hear this thing about how the prehistoric apex predator never got discontinued. It's just chilling a step above hell in the abyss. This is cap for actually three good reasons. One, there just isn't enough food to sustain a 60-foot you to the natural order. Two, if nature did keep the same jumbo jaws that peak.
Yo, hold on, y'all. Y'all see how big that shit is? Y'all see how big that shit is, bro? Nah, that ain't it, bro.
Two, if nature did keep the same jumbo jaws that peaked in the Pliocene, we at least would have seen a body by now. And number three, Why do y'all want this to be alive so bad? I promise you there's way worse things down there.
I'm good,
I
I'm
would
good.
evacuate my bowels if I ever saw a giga great white shark. But put me in front of a T-posing squid and I'm shitting more bricks than the entire city of Newark.
That is not
the big
real.
fin squid is easily one of the most disturbing things alive as I'm saying
I don't
this.
like it.
It's a T-posing predator with arms estimated to max out at just under 30 feet.
Can they
Scientists
strangle me?
believe the big fin catches bodies by dragging those arms, which can be easily 20 times its own body length, along the ocean floor like trawling nets and feeding on whatever poor soul accidentally bumps into them. You're gonna hear me say believe or we think a lot, and that's because we don't know a whole lot about them.
But no, bruh, that shit don't even look real, bro. Some of these animals and insects and fish don't even look real, bruh.
You're gonna hear me say believe or we think a lot, and that's because we don't know a whole lot about them. Almost every sighting and virtually every specimen studied were either juveniles or paralarvae. We have no way of knowing exactly what their final
Bro,
form could look
stop,
like.
stop.
For all we know, this could be Junior, and we just haven't seen Mama Big Fin yet. Who would have thought that just putting elbows on a squid would instantly turn it into the spawn of Satan? Oh, and if you thought the Big Fin was just this slow, passive floating predator, then you're seriously underestimating
It's
the ocean's
fast.
ability to massacre your mental health. And if you're curious, this video was taken about 7,000 feet down in the Gulf of Mexico. But considering they're believed to be the deepest living squids at about 20,000 feet, I have a theory. This is a juvenile, and the big boys are the ones shacking it up down in the crotch of the ocean. But good news, the big fin probably only feeds on small fish and crustaceans. Bad news, there are squids big enough to beef with the biggest predators on the planet. And the biggest predator on the planet that isn't a disgraced former YouTuber.
He didn't have to say that. That was kind of crazy. He did not have to say that.
And the biggest predator on the planet that isn't a disgraced former YouTuber is the sperm whale. Which
Sperm.
on its own would have to be one of the most traumatizing things to witness during their 2-hour
Damn.
hunting expeditions down in the deep sea. Well, the tankiest carnivore on Earth regularly runs fades with the giant squid. And by giant, we're talking about calamari growing to an estimated 40 feet long. Not only are they themselves predators that hunt using 20-foot tentacles, they're opportunistic cannibals that would 100% murk their entire family reunion for some calories.
I'm good
now,
on that.
nature high-key screwed up their character design. They have a donut-shaped brain and an esophagus running through it, meaning if they swallow
like how-
something big enough, not only do they run the risk of choking to a flatline, they can also factory reset their entire personality through severe brain damage.
Some of the things he be saying be catching me off guard. What the hell? Damn, that's such a horrible design.
They can also factory reset their entire personality through severe brain damage, which is why they mitigate this by shredding their victims with a razor-sharp beak and what is essentially a tongue with teeth, the radula. That beak is such a weapon that you'll rarely see a sperm whale that hasn't been tattooed during a struggle with a giant squid. And while the plus-size cephalopod usually loses in a war with the whale, they do not make it easy. But the most disturbing thing about them
That's crazy.
is that eye. Giant squids have the most physically imposing eye in nature, with it being roughly the size of a soccer ball.
They can see my
Contrary to
thoughts.
popular belief, huge eyes don't exactly help it see further, but it does mean they're terrifyingly good at noticing objects giving off their own light, which is a lifesaver since when their biggest optosperm whale is on the hunt, modern-day Leviathan disturbs glowing creatures like jellyfish and crustaceans who flash in response. Having eyes as
Gotcha.
big as their heads means the giant squid can detect and use those flashes to avoid becoming a corpse. But that also means that if you ever go swimming in the Giga Squid's area code, the flashes you'd create mean that while you might not see it, the same animal that does its own kind dirty would know exactly where you are.
I create my own flash. I'm really out here like Urza Miller. That's kind of crazy. I didn't know I could do that. So if I go in the ocean, the light gonna reflect off my body and that shit gonna come up and dum dum. Dum dum and go fuck me up, bro. I ain't got time for that
The
shit.
same animal that does its own kind dirty would know exactly where you are. And honestly, there's only one thing that could be worse than getting stalked by a school bus-sized headfoot. There's another squid with hunting tactics so spiritually upsetting, I'm not even gonna talk about it. I'm
Which
gonna go
one?
ahead and use a lifeline.
The Humboldt squid, also known as the red devil. I'm Lindsay, by the way. Hi.
Hey,
Humboldt
Lindsay.
squid are found in the eastern Pacific Ocean, typically between 600 to 2,300 feet below the surface of the ocean. And their nickname comes from the way they use their pigment cells called chromatophores to communicate. You're probably familiar with chromatophores through videos of different cephalopods using them to change color,
That's so
blending into
cute.
their surroundings, and even dreaming. And Humboldt squid notably use them
Damn.
to turn bright red when they're aggravated, hence the nickname red devil. It's very
got
ironic.
it.
They're also extremely predatory and have been known to act aggressively towards scuba divers on rare occasion, which becomes a bit more terrifying when I tell you that they can get to 8 feet long and 100 pounds. Now you might be thinking, Lindsay, that is not that big. What about the giant squid and the colossal squid that can both get to like 40 feet long? What?
40 feet long squids, bro.
Hey man, you know, sometimes it's okay to just be on land. Everybody want to learn new things. We're gonna fuck around and find a devil down there. Stop.
Not that big. What about the giant squid and the colossal squid that can both get to like 40 feet long? Well, I haven't told you the best part yet. The Humboldt
What's the best
squid
part?
is known to live and hunt in groups of up to 10, no, up to 100.
They gonna jump me?
Yes, in groups of over 1,000.
They gonna jump me?
1,000 squid. That's about 990 too many if you ask me. While hunting in these groups, they use their chromatophores to communicate with each other, coordinating movements and attacks, allowing them to take down larger prey, dragging them into the depths until
They can like ambush you. They can all be like in one spot, camouflage. You go through swimming. Next thing you know, all the squid tentacles on your booty hole. That's not good, bro.
coordinating movements and attacks, allowing them to take down larger prey, dragging them into the depths until they go unconscious. Scientists have identified some of these communication patterns, as you can see in this little chart, but still don't know exactly what any of them mean. But regardless, that sounds like one of the worst ways to be unalived in the ocean. Oh, wait,
Exactly.
this isn't a TikTok collaboration. That sounds like one of the worst ways to die in the ocean.
So as you can see, whether it's being confronted by a Humboldt block party or squaring up with a live-action Kraken, there are many aspects of the deep sea that end up with you putting your therapist up a tax bracket. And a lot of that's because of this cute little thing known as deep sea gigantism. The idea that the cold temperature, the dissolved oxygen, and the
is
lack
that?
of pressure from predators allow some animals to escalate to the biggest and most terrifying version.
Hey man, I'm happy. Not this though. This is fake. I felt everything leave my heart, bro. If that was real, I'd have been like, yeah, go ahead and kill me.
Deep sea gigantism. The idea that the cold temperature, the dissolved oxygen, and the lack of pressure from predators allow some animals to escalate to the biggest and most terrifying versions of themselves.
Wow.
Exhibit A, the Japanese spider crab, which can measure 12 feet
I
across
eat that
from claw to
shit.
claw and weigh as much as a human toddler. Only thing worse than a giant spider crab is a giant crab spider. This is an Antarctic sea spider, a dinner plate-sized demon spawn that hunts by sucking the life out of its prey through its proboscis. Now technically, they're not actual spiders, but also I imagine most people watching technically don't give a f, especially since this one looks like it identifies as a face hugger. Then there's a giant isopod.
That just gave me nightmares. Please. Oh, I don't even look at it. I don't look at it no more.
And there's a giant isopod, which is essentially an aquatic cockroach big enough to be cradled like a baby. No clue why you would though. And
Why
if you're
would you
looking
do
for
that?
a truly supersized animal crossing, the oarfish should be on your list. The giant oarfish can grow to well over 30 feet long, and there have even been claims of
I better
those in the
pick that shit up.
neighborhood of 50 feet. Proof that back in the day when we had stories about sea monsters, they
So
weren't
they
lying,
eel?
they just didn't have all the names yet. Also, if you caught that pun earlier, we're friends now.
I didn't catch it, bro. I must be stupid. I'm too busy trying to look at these disgusting ass animals and you over here making jokes and shit. This is not a fucking game, bro. This is not a game. This is real life. I can like fall off a boat or some shit. Next thing I know, I'm swimming with these, bro. I don't got time for that.
But with deep sea gigantism and the endless expanse of ocean acting as a canvas for Shaitan to practice his art, if you dive deep enough, there be monsters. For example,
Aliens.
This isn't an animal. It's a group of animals joined together in something like a hive mind. So we're not talking about it. We're talking about them. And sophonophores like this come in many forms. Like the Portuguese man-o-war armed with venom to ensure that the excruciating experience of meeting one is permanently etched into your brain. And there's a Priodubia, a giant sophonophore that can flex a total length
All I needed to see was prey. That's what I'm gonna be doing if I ever get down there. Pray to Dubai. Yep.
Portuguese man-o-war armed with venom to ensure that the excruciating experience of meeting one is permanently etched into your brain. And there's a Priodubia, a giant sophonophore that can flex a total length of up to 160 feet. And even though it's a collective group of tiny animals, its length could humble a blue whale, making it technically the longest creature on the planet.
That's
or
not
at
a
best,
creature.
a modest second. Since
That's a
the
day.
blue-glazed ribbon worm has been reported to reach 180 feet in length.
that
And it's
dog?
toxic because the ocean, and of course it is, with nasty smelling mucus potent enough to life deprive the crabs it likes to eat. Like I said, whether it's Lucifer's tapeworm or a flying spaghetti creature, there be monsters. And it gets so much worse than a
What
giant
is
worm.
that? And why does it look like it got eyes? You can't tell me that shit ain't got eyes. Y'all can't tell me that shit not looking at me right now, bro. That shit is staring right into my soul. Get off my screen now.
Because as terrifying as the deep sea is, it's also nasty. And there might not be anything more repulsive than the hagfish. This loogie
I already know
linguini
about
feeds
this.
on the rotting corpses and carcasses that sink down into its domain. And since they don't have any actual teeth, the graveyard guppy feeds by sliding into an opening and eating the decomposing body from the inside out. And you would think that something that eats like a casket wouldn't have to worry about getting put on a plate itself. Again, you're giving the ocean too much credit. As self-defense, the hagfish will sweat buckets of slime, a phlegm jacket that's thick enough to clog the gills of anything hungry enough to F around and unlucky enough to find out. To the
It's gonna
point where this
suffocate.
is the end game of a truck transporting hagfish on the highway crashing. Now, you've definitely seen this picture before, but have you ever stopped and asked yourself what they were doing there in the first place? You remember how I said nothing that eats like a hagfish should ever have to worry about getting eaten? Well, simple. For these hagfish, their final destination were dinner plates in Asian countries such as
They can eat metal. Am I reaching? Am I thinking too hard? They can eat metal. If I would have seen that shit in real life, I'm burning the whole road and forest. Everything's getting burned. I'm sorry. I don't give a fuck. I'm going out there with a flamethrower and I'm thinking I'm Castanet in this bitch. It's getting.
these hagfish, their final destination were dinner plates in Asian countries such as South Korea, where they're considered a delicacy. Now, I'm not one to judge other cultures, but we seem to have a habit of constantly trying to eat all the things nature went out of its way to tell us not to.
There's a rumor out saying that COVID started from eating bat and shit. Eat a hagfish. Next thing you know, we're gonna be in World War Z in this bitch.
We seem to have a habit of constantly trying to eat all the things nature went out of its way to tell us not to. But one thing you won't see as a main course is something ironically named after a fruit. The sea cucumber is like the hagfish in that its meal prep consists of all the things we normally flush, burn, or bury. All the soul evacuated bodies that sink down to the ocean floor instantly get put on the cucumber's grocery list. It's a literal bottom feeder, and I mean that since they'll also make a meal out of feces. But like with vultures, if Thanos had beef with sea cucumbers, the world would become an infinitely more disgusting place. That's not the only way sea cucumbers contribute to society. They're also often used as a protective bunker for fish, and well, let's just say they break it.
Ain't no way that animal getting his ass ate like that, bro. Ain't no way. I'm not seeing an animal get his ass ate on screen, right?
Let's just say they break in through the back door. Oh yeah, it's a violation of the highest natural order. It gets worse when a pearlfish decides to have a playdate right next to its prostate. I don't even know if they have a prostate, but you get what I mean. And if that makes you uncomfortable, here's an ad to give you time to mentally prepare for what's next.
Shut up! Nah, bro. He already knew that shit was gonna make me feel weird, bro.
This adorable little guy is known as a basket star. It's a type of brittle star and an echinoderm, which actually makes it a close cousin of the sea cucumber. If you ever learned about fractals in geometry, then that's why the repeating pattern of branching arms might look familiar. It's also why the US is really wasting $20 billion a year looking into space, because the real ET is happening right here. Because of the unsightly way basket stars get from A to B, they've also earned the nickname sea snakes. I feel itchy all of a sudden. However, even though it looks like something Lucifer would use to pleasure himself, they eat mostly zooplankton and are pretty much harmless for the most part. And honestly, that pretty much describes 80% of the nonsense in the deep sea, only really harmful to your peace of mind. Like take the frilled shark. Having been around for 80-something million years, not only is the frilled shark a living fossil, it's likely nature's rough draft beta version of sharks today. Also, don't let this video fool you. They can grow to a respectable 6 feet long. Also, they can be pregnant for 3.5 years, which honestly makes about as much sense as everything else down.
Why, bro? The ocean just does everything wrong. Like, why pregnant for 3 years? How the fuck you get pregnant for 3 years? This video has literally concluded my hatred for the ocean.
Also, they can be pregnant for 3.5 years, which honestly makes about as much sense as everything else down there. And in terms of your mental health, the frilled shark is pretty harmless until you look them in the mouth. The devil's fleshlight has hundreds of needle-like teeth to ensure that anything that gets caught in there doesn't get a second chance to pursue happiness.
Bro, I'll stick my hand in that bitch. What is it gonna do? Chop my hand off? I ain't scared of that shit. Oh, that's what it look like? Imagine being underwater and you face to face with this shit. Nigga, I'm passing out. Bro, I'm gonna play dead underwater and start floating and shit.
And for a shark that's been around long enough to have attended Saturn's wedding, I don't know why, but every picture of them looks like they're struggling with their own existence. Like I said though, they're not a threat to humans. But like I also said, therapy ain't cheap, so if you don't want to end up on a couch, don't look a frilled shark in the mouth. But yeah, you'd be surprised at just how many types of sharks you'll find in the same neighborhood SpongeBob got stranded in that one time. You have 20-foot sleeper sharks that are somehow able to use stealth to just spawn and inhale sustenance like a water Kirby. Speaking of sleepers, in 2015, a Pacific sleeper was recorded in the Solomons Island. Why is that important? Well, its home address was right under an active volcano, proving that if any animal had plot armor, it'd be sharks. Then you have the ghost shark, which, okay, yep, you got me, isn't an actual shark, it's a close cousin known as a chimera. The ghost part though, that's on brand. They kind of remind me of the dry bones fish from Mario. The ghost otter shark doesn't even have the teeth you'd expect it to have, but instead they have plates that they use to grind up food. But since nature's constantly overcompensating, chimeras do have venomous spines that are harmful to more than just your mental well-being.
Venomous spines. Venomous spines. Their back has poison in it. We can't keep letting the ocean get away with this dumb shit.
But by far the weirdest thing about them, chimeras have a tenaculum on their forehead. A tenaculum is a reproductive organ, meaning this fish has a penis
on his head.
On his forehead. Venom and That aside, this fish fresh out of Tim Burton's Wet Dream is actually pretty cool looking. And I'm just gonna say it, I think they're cute, and I'm perfectly fine with standing on that hill.
No.
However,
You're
I don't think
alone.
you'll find a single soul on this next shark's hill.
Feast your eyes on the goblin shark, a demon dog-looking fish with a mouth that snaps like nobody's business. They're rarely seen, but are known to live in oceans all around the world, at depths of up to 4,200 feet below the surface of the ocean, and are estimated to get to 18 feet long, which is really big for a deep-sea shark. You might have seen videos online of their jaws just fully ejecting from their brain case in a process called slingshot feeding. It's kind of what they're known for. Their upper and lower jaws lunge forward away from the skull, engulfing their prey. I know it probably
Oh my god! That shark has Commando Pro in his mouth. Y'all see how far that shit...
Their upper and lower jaws lunge forward away from the skull, engulfing their prey. I know it probably seems ridiculous and almost alien, but it's actually not uncommon. Most fishes have jaws that aren't entirely attached. One might argue that the goblin shark is the most extreme example of this look, until you see a video of the slingjaw wrasse, who use suction feeding to snatch up their prey. They look like they have a trombone stuck in their mouth. Goblin sharks have a particularly long snout, and it's not for nothing. They have sensory structures, pores all over it, that help them locate their prey, like squid, fish, and
Man, if I see that shit in person, I'm smacking the fuck out of the sensory organ. I'm a sensory overload. I might start, hey, you gotta do what you gotta do. You know what I'm saying? I gotta...
for nothing. They have sensory structures, pores all over it, that help them locate their prey, like squid, fish, and crustaceans. And I am personally grateful I am not a squid, fish, or crustacean.
Yeah, goblin's the right word for the only shark in the world with a receding gum line.
Goblin.
You gotta admit, yeeting your own jaw to catch calories is pretty metal, and you're gonna find that a lot of the creatures rolling in it deep have evolved some of the most creative ways of bagging groceries. Probably the most popular is the fish that nearly turned Nemo
Anglerfish,
into
right?
an orphan. The anglerfish has two defining personality traits, and one of them is that fishing lure hanging right in front of those life-canceling jaws. That light actually comes from bioluminescent bacteria shacking up inside a modified fin. So when a bite-sized light work swims up to the light thinking it just cops some easy protein, the angler ensures that some fish out there never sees its father again. The other thing anglerfish got clout for is their mating habits. I'm not gonna get into it, just know that if your marriage looks anything like theirs, you're gonna need both a divorce and a restraining order. And you know what? Intensive therapy on top of that, extra-freaking-digiously.
Tell me.
Nemo's paralysis
No. We need to know. Once the male finds a suitable mate, he bites into her belly and latches on until her body fuses with his.
Nemo's paralysis demon isn't the only deep-sea creature to weaponize light. This distinguished gentleman is known as a stoplight loosejaw, and its defining trait is that it uses a red light to hunt, which turns out to be a massive cheat code, since the longer the wavelength of a color, the less energy that wavelength has, and the faster it gets absorbed by water. And since the color red has the longest wavelength out of all of them, it's the first one to get absorbed. This is why red light can't reach the deep sea, and the animals living in the abyss that are red actually appear black, which makes it easier for them to hide from predatory smoke.
Them
But with
niggas
the stoplight
invisible?
using red as a searchlight, it's pretty much cracked at this version of hide and seek. Not to mention, since most of the life down there can't even see red, it's able to catch bodies while also not giving up its location to predators or the prey it packs up. This fish really evolved a whole wall hack and a real-life invisibility cloak. Tell me that ain't crazy. And that freakish overbite ensures that once prey is found, it's lost. Forever. But why hunt prey when you could just sit and wait for it to come to you? That's the entire playbook for the deep sea lizardfish. Just look at that smile. You know.
Nigga, I'm having nightmares. This is the bro. These animals are so fucking ugly, boy.
Deep sea lizardfish. Just look at that smile. You know he's on nefarious timing. And at over 2 feet long, they earned the title of being one of the premier apex predators of the deep sea. As a habitual camper, they lie waiting for life to pass them by before they lunge and use hypodermic needles for teeth to cancel it. And with apex standing for anyone providing smoke gets extinguished, lizardfish don't hesitate to turn their own kind into coffin fodder. And with the whole point of those teeth being to hold struggling, panicking prey in place, they make sure they don't live long enough to learn from their mistake. But as much of a therapy bill this Gecko Guppy's mugshot might be, it might not even be the worst headshot in the ocean. Not as long as this is still a factor. I don't know anyone who would waste the oxygen trying to defend this.
I would. Many say this is a face only a mother could love. Well, then maybe he is my son. This
That
is
shit
the deep-sea
ugly.
telescope fish, one of the most stunning creatures of the deep tropical oceans. They're found at depths of about 1,600 to 6,600 feet below the surface of the ocean. I can't say that normally. Surface of the ocean. And like you'll see if you look up photos of them online, they are often photographed at unfortunate angles that don't do them any justice.
They're
they
ugly.
orient themselves upwards, hanging out vertically in the water column, as they use their specially adapted eyes to hunt. for the silhouettes of their prey. There are two species of telescope fish, Gigantora indica and Gigantora chuni. Don't be fooled by their genus name, which makes them sound like they're gigantic. That is not the case at all. Indica only gets to about 8 inches long and chuni a measly 6. They are just little guys. Gigantora actually translates to big tail, specifically. They are about half tail. But if they happen to latch onto a snack that's a bit bigger than their own size, that's no problem at all. They underwent a series of skeletal reductions that allow for more room to just fold it in half. That's right. They are expert folders. In 1925, scientists found a 5.5-inch long viper fish inside the stomach of a 3-inch long telescope fish. They described it as neatly folded, an incredible quality possessed by the lovely telescope fish.
The fish can put you in its mouth and fold you? How the fuck the fish stomach doing origami? They got this side to turn all the way up, bro. They got some new type of shit.
The stomach of a 3-inch long telescope fish. They described it as neatly folded, an incredible quality possessed by the lovely telescope fish.
Yeah, I'm sure if we gave it Blistex and a hairline restoration surgery, he'd be cute, but that's just me. That being said, there's a lot of pretty dope things just chilling in the deep. Take the barrel-eyed fish, the fish with a transparent head that means it can spot ops or prey directly above it, thanks to those two green gummy-looking orbs that are actually its eyes.
Ew.
Or the ultra-rare giant phantom jellyfish,
That's cute.
equipped
That's
with 30-foot arms that makes this ET understudy the length of a whale shark.
Like a canopy.
And when I say rare, I mean this jelly's only been seen like 100 times in the history of mankind, so the fact that you're watching this right now is kind of wild. Then you have the deep-sea Dumbo octopus that copes with stress by turning itself into a ball to discourage predators from eating it. And if this
is it called Dumbo because these big ass ears right here? Are those his ears?
Then you have the deep-sea Dumbo octopus that copes with stress by turning itself into a ball to discourage predators from eating it. And if this right here looks familiar, yeah, right to his thighs.
Wait, really?
The vampire squid does the inverse, as they'll turn themselves inside out and into their own personal panic room whenever they're pressed by a possible predator.
It's a turtle fish.
How about a sea pig for you? Take everything I said about sea cucumbers and forget it for a second, because honestly, they're just really cute in a way I can't fully explain. But it's not hard to see what makes this squid instant serotonin. Rosia pacifica, or the stubby squid, is actually more like a cuttlefish. It's also a cuddly fish, and it's nature's apology letter for the sheer trauma it saturated the ocean with. It's actually real, and those arts and crafts looking eyes help it catch prey on a nocturnal schedule. It's also important as an environmental indicator, since scientists will often study their responses to changes in water pH and use that to determine how polluted the water is around them, which you would think would earn this anime octopus the respect of the scientific community. Well, you'd be wrong. There's a video where some scientists found one, and let me just say, not even Hiroshima got roasted that hard. But that's gonna do it for this video.
What the f did I just watch?